By sunrise, Eleanor had already formed two strong opinions about Tennessee. The bedroom needed curtains, and whoever chose tile flooring deserved a formal complaint. She and Victoria had reached Morristown at 4 in the morning, both of them half dead from travel and too tired to do more than drag their bags inside. They had managed to fall into bed around 5, which would have been fine if the sun had not aimed itself directly at Eleanor's face like it had a personal grudge. She opened one eye. Bright white light stabbed straight through the room. Fantastic, she muttered into her pillow. Curtains. Today. Non-negotiable. The second her bare feet hit the floor, she yelped. The tile was freezing. She hopped across the room with all the grace of someone being attacked by winter itself and made a straight line for the shower. Hot water saved her mood. Coffee would finish the job. By the time she came downstairs, she had pulled herself together in black skinny jeans, a black turtleneck, and a blue and black plaid flannel. Her long hair was braided, her boots were on, and her suitcase, still only half unpacked, had been abandoned until later. Victoria was already dressed and waiting near the door. Of course she was. Eleanor's mother could wake up after 3 hours of sleep and still look like she had negotiated peace treaties before breakfast. Eleanor, meanwhile, needed caffeine before she could be trusted with stairs. Coffee first? Eleanor asked hopefully. We are meeting Alpha Nathan at 9. That was not a no. Victoria gave her a look. Eleanor sighed like a woman facing injustice. Fine. Pack house first. Coffee after. Or during. Preferably during. She typed the address into the GPS, slid into the passenger seat, and turned on the radio. 10 minutes later, she and Victoria were singing Taylor Swift too loudly for the hour, Eleanor dancing in her seat every time her legroom allowed it. The Blue Ridge Pack House appeared at the end of a long drive, all wide windows, stonework, and money. A lot of money. Eleanor leaned forward and gave a low whistle. Well. Someone's doing okay. Victoria shook her head, smiling despite herself. You are going to behave, aren't you? I'm going to attempt behavior, Eleanor said. That is the most honest answer I can give. A pretty young woman met them at the door and led them through the pack house to the Alpha's office. Eleanor tried not to stare too obviously at the polished floors, the high ceilings, and the art on the walls that probably cost more than their car. At the office door, the woman knocked. Come in, a voice called. Alpha Nathan Sullivan rose from behind his desk when they entered. He was broad, calm, and carried the kind of authority that did not need to raise its voice. Eleanor knew the basics already. His mate was Luna Audrey. They had 2 sons, Declan and Evan. Declan was the future Alpha, which made him important by default and possibly unbearable. She had not decided yet. Nathan shook Victoria's hand first, then Eleanor's. I'm glad you both made it safely, he said. His attention returned to Victoria. I read your file. I want you to know you're welcome here, and frankly, you're needed. We lost our healer last year after a wolf went feral following the death of his mate. Your experience is exactly what this pack has been missing. Victoria's expression softened. I'm grateful for the opportunity. We're a close pack, Nathan said. Family matters here. Loyalty matters. Once you've given your oath, we can get you settled and go over your clinic schedule. Victoria stepped forward and swore herself to Blue Ridge. Eleanor followed. The words felt strange on her tongue. New pack. New town. New life. She was not sure yet whether that made her excited or scared, so she decided not to inspect it too closely. After the oath, Nathan glanced at Victoria. Could I have a private word? Of course. Which left Eleanor alone in a house full of strangers. A dangerous arrangement for everyone involved. She made it about 30 seconds before curiosity won. She wandered downstairs, not exactly snooping, though any honest judge would have disagreed. The pack house was busy in that early morning way, people passing through halls with mugs, folders, gym bags, and the casual confidence of those who already belonged. Then she smelled coffee. Everything else became background noise. Eleanor followed her nose around a corner and walked straight into something solid. Not a wall. A person. A very tall person. She landed flat on her ass. The wall laughed. Sorry, he said, offering a hand. I didn't see you. Eleanor took his hand and let him pull her up. Then she narrowed her eyes at him. Was that a short joke? His face went blank with panic. What? No. I meant I genuinely didn't see you. She held the stare for one more second, then laughed. Relax, bro. I'm messing with you. I'm almost 5 feet tall. I have made peace with my vertical limitations. He laughed too, looking relieved. I'm Evan, he said, holding out his hand again. Ah, the second-born son. She shook it. Eleanor. The new girl. You joined the pack? That is what the oath thing was about, yes. She stepped around him and found the coffee station like a woman discovering holy ground. She poured herself a cup, added creamer and sugar until it met her standards, then turned back to him. So, Evan, want to be my friend? He stared at her for half a beat, then burst out laughing. You're not shy, are you? I think shyness wastes time. I say what I'm thinking and let reality sort itself out. In that case, he said, grinning, I'd be honored. A second male voice cut in from behind them. What's your pleasure? Eleanor turned. The newcomer had the same family resemblance as Evan, only sharper. More polished. Future alpha energy, she decided immediately. Before Evan could answer, a girl walked up and hooked herself around the guy's arm like jewelry she expected everyone to admire. The girl gave Eleanor one slow look from head to toe. Apparently unimpressed, she turned away. Baby, I need to go to the mall. The guy glanced down at her. Okay. That was it. Eleanor looked at Evan. Evan shrugged. So Eleanor did what Eleanor did. She stepped forward, smiled brightly, and held out her hand. Hi. I'm Eleanor. My friend here forgot how introductions work, so I decided to save him. Hey, Evan protested. I did not forget. I was waiting. Sure you were. She patted his arm. It's fine. I fixed it. No lasting damage. Evan smirked. So this is how our friendship is going to be. Obviously. She looked back at the other guy and raised an eyebrow. He did not take the hint. She glanced at Evan. Evan finally sighed. This is my brother, Declan. And this is Christine. His girlfriend, for lack of a better word. Eleanor nodded. Nice to meet you, future alpha. Christine. Christine did not look thrilled to be included. Eleanor lifted her cup. Now I need to find my mom and escape before anyone realizes I have no supervision. Later, y'all. She left before the silence could get awkward. Behind her, Declan watched her go. Who was that? He asked. Evan sipped his coffee. Eleanor. You heard her. Yes, Evan. I heard her name. Who is she? The new girl Dad told the pack about last night. Christine's mouth twisted. The witch? I thought witches could make themselves look gorgeous or something. Why would she choose that? Declan looked down at her. For once, his face had no patience in it. What is wrong with you? Then he walked away. Christine stared after him, offended. What did I do? Evan laughed under his breath. You might want to wash your face. You've got a little green right about. He circled a finger in front of her face. Everywhere. Eleanor found Victoria heading out the front door. Her mother's eyes narrowed with amused suspicion. What did you get into? Nothing illegal. I met the alpha boys. Evan's nice. Didn't really talk to Declan much. He skipped the handshake, but to be fair, his girlfriend was hanging off him like a designer purse. Eleanor slid into the passenger seat. What did Alpha Nathan want? Victoria paused just long enough for Eleanor to notice. Then she took a breath. He asked why we left our old home. Eleanor went still. And? I told him the truth. All of it. I didn't want pieces of our past showing up later and catching us unprepared. Victoria glanced over. Are you angry? Eleanor leaned across the console and kissed her mother's cheek again and again until Victoria laughed and tried to push her away. The truth shall set us free, Eleanor sang badly. Victoria shook her head. I love your crazy ass. Naturally. Their next stop was the high school. Eleanor sat in the parked car for a moment, staring at the building. Brick facade. Wide glass doors. Teenagers moving in loose packs across the front steps. Her chest gave a small, annoying twist. Victoria noticed immediately. Nervous, baby? Eleanor turned to her with a grin. Absolutely not. Victoria waited. Eleanor's smile softened. Maybe I miss my friends a little. But this is an adventure, right? And you're here. You're my best friend anyway. That is both sweet and deeply concerning. Come on. Let's register me before I change my mind. Then we find coffee. Victoria laughed. You caffeinated kitten. Puppy, Mom. Puppy. They walked into the school arm in arm. Paperwork took forever because paperwork always did. After that, someone gave them a tour, showed Eleanor her locker, handed her a stack of books, and welcomed her to a school she would be expected to navigate without looking lost by tomorrow morning. By the time they escaped, Eleanor had earned pie. Possibly 2 pies. They found a small diner less than 2 blocks from the school. It had big windows, red booths, and the kind of smell that promised hot coffee and real butter. Convenient, Victoria said as they slid into a booth. You could eat lunch here some days instead of at school. I like how you support my dreams. A waitress about Eleanor's age came over with a notepad. She was a little taller than Eleanor, with light brown hair, brown eyes, and a name tag that read Diana. Eleanor smiled up at her. Diana, I need coffee with creamer on the side, and a slice of whatever apple pie is making this place smell like heaven. Victoria ordered the same. When Diana returned with their plates and cups, Eleanor stopped her before she could leave. I'm new in town, Eleanor said. Starting at the high school tomorrow. Do you go there? Diana nodded slowly, watching her like she was not sure where this was going. Would you be willing to show me around a little? Help me get acclimated? Eleanor gave her most charming smile. I could use a friend. Diana blinked. You want to be my friend? Yes. Are you sure? Eleanor laughed. Pretty sure. Unless you secretly hate apple pie, in which case we may need to discuss values. Diana smiled then, shy at first, then wider. My best friend moved away last year, she said. I don't really have many people at school now. Then this is fate, Eleanor said. Or caffeine. Either way, numbers? They exchanged phones. Diana looked happier when she left the table. Victoria watched Eleanor over her coffee. You collect people, you know that? Only the good ones. The rest of the day passed quietly. Victoria cooked dinner, and Eleanor helped. They ate at the small kitchen table, both of them tired enough that silence felt easy. Later, they watched TV on the couch until Victoria yawned and checked the time. I have to be at the hospital by 4 in the morning, she said. You'll be okay getting yourself to school? Eleanor clutched her chest. Mother. I am nearly 18. I can operate a Keurig and locate a front door. Victoria laughed. Just checking. Eleanor went upstairs after that and laid out her clothes for the morning. Navy leggings. Ankle boots. A sweater dress blocked in navy, white, and yellow that hit mid-thigh. Cute. Acceptable first-day armor. While brushing her teeth, she studied herself in the mirror. Most of her face belonged to Victoria. The sable hair, the high cheekbones, the full mouth. The stubborn chin too, probably. Her eyes were the only thing she had inherited from her father, pale ice blue, so light they almost disappeared in bright sunlight. Her height remained the family mystery. Victoria was 5'7". Her father was easily 6 feet. Somehow, Eleanor had stopped growing at almost 5 feet and apparently called it a career. A conundrum. A rude one. Before climbing into bed, she checked the thermostat to make sure the floor would not ambush her feet again in the morning. Then she slid under the covers, tired down to the bone. Dear Goddess, she whispered into the dark, please help us make this our forever home. Sleep took her fast. Somewhere in her dreams, a black wolf moved through the trees. And the whole forest smelled like coffee. Declan knocks on his father's door, and hears him say come. He enters and takes a seat in front of Nathan's desk. His dad looks up at Declan and asks, what's on your mind, son? Declan replies, I met the new girl. She seems disrespectful? I'm not sure that's the word I'm looking for. But there is something about Eleanor that has demon on edge. Not something I'm used to. Nathan raises his eyebrow at his son, and says good on edge or bad as in angry on edge? Declan shrugs no antsy maybe? I don't know. She spoke to Evan and Demon poked his head up and listened. He won't answer me about it, though. What can you tell me? Nathan looked long and hard at his son then he spoke you will be ascending to Alpha, when you turn 21 in August. So, I will share everything about Victoria and her daughter with you. Just in case anything comes up about it, later. I don't want you caught unaware. Bear in mind some of what I tell you, Eleanor has no clue about. I will tell you this, first Eleanor is Alpha-born. Victoria is the true mate of Julian Montgomery of Black River Pack in Louisiana. His brother Caleb is the Alpha of Black Moon. Caleb took Eleanor under his wing and helped raise her. Julian recognized Victoria as his mate, at a mating ball 19 years ago. He claimed her, mated her, and rejected her all within 2 hours. He claimed his pack would never accept a witch as Luna. She became pregnant from that mating and moved to New Orleans away from Julian. It is there she met Caleb. He could smell his brother, in the child she carried, and offered her his assistance. He just wanted to help, apparently. 7 months ago, Julian and his chosen gave birth to their first child, a son. That boy was born without an alpha mantle. Only firstborn are gifted. So, Julian finally remembered what had happened with his true mate, and realized she must have had a child and a search has begun. Caleb called me, asking for asylum. I granted it. It's a win for Iz, as Victoria is renowned for being the best healer in the country, right now. And, to our benefit, Julian knows only 2 things about her. Her name is Victoria and she is a witch. Caleb says there has to be, at least 2,000 Colettes in the French Quarter, alone. We have time to prepare to protect her. So, I'm not worried. And Caleb assures me, he will notify us of any movement we need to be aware of. Eleanor doesn't know her father may be searching for her. Victoria wanted her to, at least, graduate before reality sets in. She seems a dedicated mother. And that speaks volumes to me. A young girl, finding herself pregnant and alone, never once doubted she loved her baby. Declan asked, how are we certain this is all true? We are just taking the word of Alpha Caleb and a witch. We need to do our due diligence. Nathan laughed and laughed again, saying, yes, son. I just became Alpha yesterday. Victoria provided DNA evidence proving a direct blood tie between Caleb and Eleanor. If that wasn't enough, have you seen that girl's eyes? They are definitely the trademarked Montgomery blue. He laughs again. Now, you have the phys ed classes at the high school this month, correct? And Declan nods, says yep. Want to observe and single out the kids I believe will benefit from warrior training. It should be fun. I'll get to torture Evan. They laugh and Nathan says not too much, son. He is going to be your beta. And just then Evan knocks on the office door and Nathan bids him entry. He walks over to flop on the couch and asks what is shaking. Declan shrugs and says talking about the new girl. Evan sits straight up and says she is so cool. Immediately walked up to me and declined we are going to be friends. Like, I had no say in it and I don't think I did have a say, I mean. Logan just laid in my head wagging his tail like all is right with his world. But I'm okay with it. She is funny, not intimidated by rank. She seems like a go-with-the-flow kind of girl and I like that about her. No pretense. Declan snarks, maybe she is your mate. And Evan shakes his head nope, felt nothing when we touched and Logan is just calm around her. She is a half-witch. How freaking cool is that? Maybe I can talk her into turning Blaze into a toad for a day. That would be great. Declan chuckles and shook his head, says, with Blaze's luck, someone would toad his warty ass to biology and he would get dissected. They all laughed at that. Nathan said, Evan, did you need something? He shook his head, said nope. Just bored and being nosy. Nathan chuckled at his sons, shaking his head. Then he looks at Declan with a serious face and tells him I want you to break up with Christine. I know she is beta-born, an Aaron's daughter, but I've been hearing ugly things and she is not your mate. You need to set that record straight. I don't understand you young people. In my time, we waited for our mate. There was no question of going out and testing the waters. We knew we had our one and no one else would do. All of you young men will regret it, especially when you find your true mate and realize she waited for you. Mark my words, that information will hurt her. Declan replies, and what if my mate didn't wait either, Dad? I'm over 20 years old. I have needs. My mate is obviously not part of our pack and aren't we going to need a Luna when I ascend in August? Nathan glares angrily. Your mother will remain Luna until your maid is found. But I guarantee you, it is not Christine. Get rid of her. That's my final word on it. Declan slams out of the office, with Evan on his heels. Dude, what was that? Do you, really love Christine? 'Cause, I gotta tell ya, I don't think she feels the same. I mean sure, she likes the attention throwing your name around gets her, but I have heard she likes playing around with a few of the warriors. I'm just saying bro. Be careful. Declan swings around and pops Evan in the nose. Christine is good to me. You don't get to talk like that. I would know if she was stepping out on me. Goddess. I hate rumors. And he stormed away from his brother. He hit the backyard and shifted, letting Demon have his head. They ran and hunted, napped by the waterfall. They needed this to clear their heads. They decided to run a perimeter check to kill some time before bed. As they approached the northern border just on the outskirts of town, they caught a whiff of a scent that tantalized Demon's nostrils. Chocolate with a hint of spice, and it was delicious. Demon puttered around the area trying to locate the origin of the smell, but it just perplexed him. He decided to sleep on it and might have better luck tomorrow. He reached the pack house and shifting, walked inside. Christine was waiting in his room, waiting for him. He sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. Get dressed, Christine. I'm not in the mood tonight, she pouted. I can improve your mood. You just have to lie back and relax and I can know, he yelled. I said not tonight. Now leave. And she grabbed her robe, running out the door. Evan stood in the hallway reaching for his own doorknob and asked, all good, bro? Declan nodded and then he reached out his hand, saying, Evan, about earlier. I'm sorry. Evan laughs and says, what a few bloody noses between brothers? And they laugh, telling each other good night. Declan wakes and stretches his full length, thinking he needs to order a new bed. He stands 6'7" and he has the same bed he has had since he started high school. His feet hang off the end, now. Jumping in the shower, he realizes he is looking forward to coaching at the school for the next several weeks. It relieves him of that infernal paperwork that seems to just magically pile higher, no matter how many hours he spends signing his name. He hops down the stairs 3 at a time and wanders into the dining hall, sauntering over to sit beside his mom. Kissing her on the cheek, and she asks him about his plans for the day. As he is explaining his agenda, he sees his mother nudge her head toward the door. He looks up and sees Christine walking in, laughing and touching a warrior while he listens to her intently. Demon raises his head to peer out of their eyes, and he speaks in his head. Looks like there might be some truth to Evan's rumors. I say we look into that. And Declan says yeah. We should. He turns to his mom and kisses her again, saying he will see her after school. And hollers for Evan to let us roll, bro. Evan and Blaze follow him out to the truck. As he is climbing in, Christine runs out asking, what about me? And he smirks, saying, find your own ride, and off they go. Eleanor rolled over and slammed her hand down on the alarm. Mumbling stupid screaming noise. And damn it. Now I have to tell Mom we need a new clock again. Rolling out of bed, her foot tangles in the sheets and she falls on the floor. Rubbing her nose. She gripes all the way to the bathroom, doing a little dance in the shower. For having the foresight to wash her hair last night, she jumps out and towels off. She got dressed in the clothes she laid out and hopped on down to the kitchen. Popping the Keurig lid down on her mocha coffee pod, she noticed a note on the counter. Good morning, my kitty cat. You will find your keys beside your backpack at the door. Your Jeep was delivered sometime in the night, and I know that will make you happy. We have an introductory dinner at the pack house tonight with the Alpha S family. So, I need you home right after school, okay? I love you, monkey butt. Have a great day. Mom. Eek. Yes. Hell yeah. My Jeep. Then she looks around to make sure nobody heard her laughing because she is alone. Smart Eleanor, worried the ghosts will hear. She toasts a bagel and slathers it with strawberry cream cheese and moans as she sinks her teeth into it. Sets the coffee maker for her to go cup of coffee. She darts back upstairs to brush her teeth. She dashes back down, grabs her coffee, stopping by the door for her backpack and keys, and jumps into her Jeep. Rounding a corner, she spies Diane standing at a bus stop off and to the side, away from the other kids. She pulls her Jeep to the curb and puts her window down, asking Diane if she wants to ride with her. Diane shook her head and says, I don't want to trouble you, and Eleanor replies, Pfft. You'd be doing me a favor, keeps me from talking to myself. Come on. Can't have my new best friend riding a bus. Diane climbed in, whispering, only if you're sure, and Eleanor said, enough of that, I'm desperate for the company and you are already my friend. Let us play 20 questions so we know everything about each other. Diane laughs. You definitely have a lot of energy. Okay, let us play. Favorite color? Mine is red. Eleanor says blue. Favorite food? Mine is anything Italian. Diane nods, agreeing Italian is best. Eleanor says favorite parent? Mom or dad? Diane replies that's easy. I only have my dad. Eleanor comes back with hey. Me too. Well, not really me too. But I only have my mom. We're like twinsies. And they are still laughing as they pull into the parking lot. They hop out of the Jeep and Eleanor waits at the front until Diane reaches her. She locks her arm with Diane's and whispers, let us give em hell. And they walk to the doors giggling. Eleanor looks up and says, Hey Evan. I was wondering if I'd see you this morning. Evan looks up grinning, hey. New bestie. What us shakin'? Oh, hey. I want to introduce you to my best friend, Blaze. Eleanor smiles, shaking Blaze's hand. Gamma to be, yeah? Congratulations. This is Diane and she's my new girl bestie. They all separated at their classes, with the decision to meet up at lunch. And the day marched on. Eleanor walked into the cafeteria and spotted Diane, walking over to her, asking what us for lunch, but Diane shook her head. Eleanor understood immediately and suggested Diane find them a table while she grabs lunch. Grabbing a tray, she stood in queue, waiting her turn. She put 2 of everything she liked on the tray and paid, looking around for Diane. She made a beeline for the table and sat down. Placing 1 of everything, in front of each of them. Eleanor leaned in close and whispered, no. I do not see you as a charity case and I do not pity you. You are my friend and friends look after friends. Besides, I have been in your shoes, and made fun of and bullied for it, so goddess pity the fool who wants to bully my best friend. And she smiles great big, saying, now eat. Evan and Blaze stop at their table and say, can we sit with our new besties? And Eleanor laughs, sliding a chair towards him with her boot. They sit down and start talking about their day so far. Evan said he is excited for phys ed today because tryouts begin. Blaze agreed, saying he can't wait to kick some ass. Eleanor said, tryouts? For what? And can I kick some ass, too? Evan responded with warrior tryouts. As far as if you can kick some ass, can you? She just smirks at him. They has stood up and Diane stepped away to clear their trash when Christine stops beside Blaze and sneers, oh Evan, how low did you stoop to sit at the loser's table? Just as Evan was about to respond, Eleanor put her hand on his arm, and shook her head, looking directly at Christine. She smiles sweetly. And in a voice loud enough to carry, she starts off, Christine, is that your name? So you're the lead mean girl? Where's your entourage? Call them over, I'll wait. Glancing around for the rest of Christine's troop, she spots Declan leaned against the counter, not even taking the time to question that. She sees 4 more girls have arrived. She smiles sweetly and says, oh goody. You're all here, so I only have to say this once. Understand me well. I don't do mean girls. I don't tolerate bullies for any reason in any instance. You, Christine, cannot and will not ever be able to intimidate me, frighten me, or make me cry. I am confident in who I am. I am well aware of my strengths and abilities. Know that I will not put up with you tormenting or torturing me or anyone I call friend. You are exactly the same girl who went to my last school. You are the exact same person in every school in the world. You believe that because you are a beta-S daughter, that allows you to say whatever you want. You think because you are fucking the alpha to be that gives you carte blanche to throw your weight around and torment anyone you see as a target. I'm not your target, Christine. Trust me in this, today is not your day and I am not the one. And Eleanor turns to Diane to take her hand and walk away, but Christine had other plans, grabbing Eleanor's arm. Eleanor spun and gripped the back of Christine's head and slammed it into the table. She snarled, you were fucking warned. Why don't you run to your boyfriend and let him know what a bad little witch I am? Or one of your boyfriends, whatever, I smell at least 5. And she grabbed Diane's hand, waltzing out of the cafeteria. Eleanor looked at Diane and they both cracked up. Diane laughed, that was the best thing I have ever seen. She won't forget it though. She is not capable of letting things go. And oh my goddess. Calling her out for being a slut without calling her a slut is my now new favorite thing. I am so happy you moved here and chose me as your friend. The rest of the day was fairly decent. Although, Eleanor decided she liked her art class best. She was standing in the girls' locker room just finishing dressing out when she looked over at Diane and said, who sizes these things? I'm one of the shortest people in this school and they still issue me a uniform too small. This shirt squishes my tits down to the size of kumquats and my ass is hanging out. I can't wear this shit. Diane reaches into her locker and hands her a hoodie saying, "Here doc, it's my dad's, it comes almost to my knees, so at least you'll be covered." Eleanor hugs her and thanks her. The girls walk into the gymnasium and it's readily apparent everyone has separated into their little cliques. Typical high school bullshit. Eleanor spots Evan waving her over, so she grabs Diane's hand and walks over to him. He reaches his arm out and she steps into it. He points, saying, "You remember my brother, right? And that's Coach Andrews. They will be observing today." Eleanor asked, "Observing what exactly?" Evan laughs and says, "All of us, for strength, stamina, and endurance." She just nods. Coach Andrews says, "New girl. Uniforms only. Remove the hoodie." Eleanor smiles and says, "Name S. Eleanor, not new girl, and no. No. I will keep the hoodie on." Andrews said, "You will only be in uniform in my class. Remove that hoodie or 15 demerits. And if you want a diploma in June, you will comply." She glares at him for a moment, then she smiles and says, "Okay, but don't blame me when you can't evaluate one single teenage boy on anything more than the duration of their hard-ons." And whips the hoodie over her head, spinning on her heels, yelling, "Let us get this show on the road." She looks over her shoulder, seeing Evan and Blaze laughing so hard they have to hold one another up. Declan is just staring at her with his mouth hanging open, and the coach is beet red. He holds the hoodie out to her, saying, "Please put it back on," and she mutters, "What the hell I thought." Declan walked into the cafeteria to grab a soda and noticed Christine standing at a table in the corner. He called Demon forward to listen in. He smirked hearing the little witch lied into her. Demon perks up, looking through Damien's eyes. He urges them forward, wanting to be closer, just not quite knowing why. He was amazed at how fast she twisted and slammed Christine's face on that table. Then calling her out on all the men she could smell was priceless. That girl definitely bears watching. He headed out to the gymnasium to observe the first class of the day and, unfortunately, Christine caught up with him. She whined that new girl was crazy and witches couldn't be trusted, and a bunch of other shit he had no intention of listening to, but she kept droning on. By the time he had reached the gym, he said, "Get to class, Christine," and walked inside. It's finally the last class of the day. AMD Andrews decides to be stupid, throws his weight around, demanding Eleanor remove her hoodie. And she did. Man. She definitely did, and boom. Her cute melon ass was there for the biting. Declan felt his cock straining at his shorts, and he had to adjust himself, as did every boy in the class. Would have been a nightmare if Coach Hen T allowed her to wear the hoodie. Dad informed me Eleanor and her mother were coming to dinner to introduce them to the pack, so I'm standing here, in front of my mirror, trying to decide if I look alright, with no earthly idea why I even care. But, here we are. Evan strolls in and whistles. "Damn, bro. Looking sharp. What gives?" I sigh and say, "Dude, I wish I knew. The new girl is doing something to me. The more I see her, the more I want to be around her. Demon is pushing to the forefront every time she's in the same room we're in. It's confusing as fuck." Evan gasped, "Do you think she's your mate?" "She's not 18 yet, but Dad says her birthday isn't far away. We need to talk to Dad. And you'll need to ditch the succubbitch." Damien shoved Evan off the bed, shaking his head. Everyone was getting seated, as Eleanor and Victoria walk in. Alpha Nathan holds a chair for Victoria to sit and conversation resumed. We were all serving ourselves to food, when I hear my mom say, "Eleanor, how was your first day of school?" Eleanor smiles and responds, "Uneventful, thank you, Luna," and we all hear Christine scoff. And my father asks something to add, "Christine?" And this bitch, this idiot, sells herself out by responding, "If you call accosting me insulting me, accusing me of being a bully, and nearly breaking my nose uneventful, then sure." My father raises an eyebrow and says, "Elaborate." And so began the tale of the persecuted damsel in distress that no one rescued from the evil clutches of the wicked witch of the West, and Evan lost his shit while Blaze hid his face in his napkin. My dad sat there a good 2 minutes, then asked Eleanor if that was how she remembered the events in the cafeteria, and she said, "No sir. I remember it quite differently, but you must understand, every tale is told from our own personal point of view, so it's only logical my explanation of the events would quite probably be the exact opposite of hers, and I am new here. Who am I to say whether her behavior is any less acceptable than mine? I have my own sense of right and wrong, and not everyone will always agree with that, either. Therefore, I would rather not reiterate my version," and Nathan beamed. He beamed at her and retorted, "Spoken like a true diplomat. Declan, I want the video from the school's cafeteria on my desk by morning. Declan replied yes sir and Nathan S. Beta. Aaron leaned over to Christine and said better hope your little story holds water because I can't intervene, if you have lied to our alpha. Victoria leaned to her daughter and said you didn't say anything about this when you got home. What happened? And Eleanor shrugged replying I bounced her face off a table in the cafeteria she shouldn't have put her hands on me, Mom I was walking away. Victoria sighed deeply and looked at Alpha Nathan saying Alpha I fear I must apologize for whatever you may see on that video my daughter has an Alpha-S temperament, I'm afraid and Eleanor jumps up and says no Mom. Just no. You don't have to apologize for me. Not ever again. Alpha Nathan I did bounce Christine's face off a table in the cafeteria. She had made a pitiful attempt to bully me and I reacted. I will apologize to you. And to this pack and I will accept any punishment you deem fit but I will not apologize for standing up for my beliefs nor will I ever apologize to Christine. Thank you for dinner. I'm sorry if I spoiled anyone's appetite. Good night and she stormed out. Her mother looked mortified and Alpha Nathan said well, that went well and chuckled. Victoria looked up and started to say something but Luna Audrey patted her hand and told her it's fine and not to worry. She looked around the table and smiled saying I for one, think things are going to get interesting around here again. And everyone laughed. Declan was in his room after dinner and Christine walked into his room crying. Normally, tears upset him and he would try and comfort her. But when she started to tell him what her version of what happened was, he said save it, Christine. I was there you know. I stood in that cafeteria and witnessed the entire thing. And you made first contact. That girl was walking away and you dug your claws into her arm. I would have broken your neck. We are done, Christine. Never come to my room again. When you address me, it will be by my title. I am sorry but you are not my mate and I was wrong to have pursued anything between us this last year. She screeched you are only doing this to please your father. He hates me and you know it. You're letting him coming between us. You know you love me, Declan. You know we are meant to be together and he snarls my father had no part of my decision. You are the one who decided this for me. You are a selfish, spoiled rotten, self-entitled bully and I have had enough. Leave my room and don't speak to me again. She yanked the door, nearly off its hinges and stomped out. And Declan felt like the weight of the world lifted off him. Declan stretched out on his bed and opened his laptop searching beds. Finding one he thought would do nicely, he ordered it. Then he researched electronic locks for his door finding one that looked fairly self-explanatory ordered that, as well. Feeling accomplished, he fell asleep. The next morning, his dad called him into his office. Sitting there, Nathan said give me your account of what happened in the cafeteria I have spoken to Evan, Blaze, and a young woman named yes Diane and everything they've said seems to coincide with the video. Declan said then, why do you need me? I didn't catch the first part, just the end and I had already ascertained the contact was justified. But that's only my opinion, at this point his father says those are my findings, as well. But that brings us to what we do in regards to Christine is this a pattern? Does she frequently bully other students? Declan shrugs then he says what if you call a meeting at the high school and exclude Christine? Allow Eleanor to speak on her experience and then open the floor for discussions. Once they have others to commiserate with maybe we will get to the bottom of it all. Nathan says that's a really good idea. Set that up, would ya? And Declan groans on his way to the school. Eleanor comes downstairs to grab coffee before headed out to school. She sees her mom sitting at the table and walks around to start her drink to go. She says, I thought you'd already be gone for work. Victoria replies, I wanted to talk to you about last night and Eleanor interrupted her and said in a very small voice I can't handle when you are ashamed of me. I knew I was in the right and what I did was justified. Instead of having faith in me and believing I would never intentionally hurt someone without reason. You apologized for me. You just assumed my alpha temperament kicked in and I just, what? Threw my weight around to prove a point? That's not who I am, Mom. That's not how I would ever react. Yes, I have my father's blood running through my veins but that doesn't mean I am like him. I love you, Mom. I would do anything be anything you asked of me. I feel like you are always waiting for the other shoe to drop, like I'm going to hurt you like he did. And I tiptoe around you never wanting you to feel that way again. I just want you to know I would never do anything to embarrass you. I'm going to be late. We will sit down tonight and you can talk about what you're feeling. Turnabout is fair play, right? And she kissed her mom on the cheek walking out the front door. Victoria reached the clinic to find a message had been delivered, asking her to go to the Alpha S office, so she headed on over fighting a feeling of dread. She was already feeling like shit for not having faith in Eleanor and wasn't sure how to make it up to her. She knocked on the Alpha S door and Audrey opened it, pulling Victoria in for a hug. She whispered, "You should be so proud of your daughter." "I sure am," and Victoria looked at her questioningly when Nathan said, "Come, sit, we want you to see this video." They sat quietly together and watched the entire video. When it finished, Victoria dropped her face in her hands and cried. Alpha Nathan cleared his throat, not certain why Victoria was crying but waiting it out. He finally spoke. "Your daughter did nothing wrong. In fact, I am hoping she has done a great thing. I am going to ask her to tell this story in front of all her classmates with Christine absent, and hopefully, we find out how far this bullying goes. You should be very proud. You have raised her to be a strong, compassionate young woman, and that speaks highly of you, as a mother." Victoria sat a few minutes. When she spoke, it wasn't what was expected. "I let her down. I didn't let her explain to me in private. I immediately jumped to apologize for her, and, in doing so, I humiliated her. I made her feel like I was disappointed in her. Goddess. What have I done? She is right. She told me this morning that she isn't her father, that she would never hurt me like he did, and she is right. I am projecting all the hurt and pain I felt from her father onto her. I had somehow convinced myself because she is Alpha she would rip my heart out, as well. I have to beg her to forgive me. I have to apologize and make her see that I am proud of her. And I am not ashamed of her." Audrey smiled and said, "As mothers, we always want our kids to behave. We want to place them in little cookie-cutter molds and do exactly as we want. That only works until they are about 2. Then, we best throw that mold away. They have their own thoughts, attitude, and opinions. We soon learn we are only their guide, showing them right from wrong but allowing them to become who they are and praying to our goddess that our guidance was enough." In Eleanor's case, I believe you have done an excellent job with helping her become a strong young woman with upstanding morals. You need to be very proud. Victoria hugged Audrey and asked if that was all. She said her boss was a stickler for schedules and she didn't want to get fired, causing them all to laugh. Eleanor had made it through the day without incident, and now, here she stands in the gym in a uniform that fits, by the way. She is waiting for Diane to reach her with the baton, so she can finish the last leg of the relay race. She has developed a slight headache behind her left eye and just wants to be done. As she takes the last turn on the track, she scents the most amazing smell. Coffee with a sweet vanilla twist, and she nearly stumbled. She asks her wolf, "Lacey? What is that?" Lacey comes back with, "I'm not sure. It's heavenly, but I just am not sure. Could it be our mate? We're not far from being 18, so we could be scenting him." Eleanor told her, "We didn't smell it yesterday, and I don't see anyone different here today. We have just over 6 weeks, maybe we are close enough to our birthday, it's possible?" She just shrugs and lies down. And the scent was only there a second. Finally, school is out. Eleanor loved everything about physical activity, but after a shitty night and this thing with her mom and now the scent, it's too much today. She dropped Diane at the diner and headed home. She had that old Chinese disease dragon ass and just wanted a hot bath and her bed. But that was not to be. As soon as she stepped through the door, her mother had her engulfing in a huge hug and just held her there, whispering, "I am so sorry. You were right. What you said this morning. You were right. I have been waiting expecting you to just leave me, so I pretended you still need me to fix your messes, to kiss your boo-boo, anything to make you not want to leave. In doing that, I have failed to notice the amazing young woman in front of me. I am so used to people just quitting on me. My own mother, your father then, my coven, it's formed a pattern on my heart. But, I promise you, I am proud of you. And I love you. So much." Eleanor, crying from the halfway point, leaned back and said, "Can we start over? Hi. I'm Eleanor." And they both laughed. Just like that, it felt like normal. She asks if she smelled lasagna and Victoria nodded, pouring them each a glass of wine. They laughed about their day, with Victoria finishing about a pup who shoved a bean up his nose. Eleanor asked Victoria to come sit in the living room. She had some questions about mates and her mom is the only one she can talk to about it. Eleanor tells Victoria about the scent, then she asks, "Is it possible we are scenting our mate? I haven't felt sparks when I have touched anyone. I haven't felt a pull. Well, I have felt a pull to Evan, but it's best friendly or brotherly." And I feel a pull to Diane, but that's more of a protective instinct. This smell the richest coffee and vanilla. That's my new go-to. It was so strong. My knees gave out. I stumbled. It was crazy. Victoria says I suppose it's possible, although I have never heard of she-wolf scenting their mate before their birthday. And I know only a few times of an alpha finding theirs early, but that was because the alpha shifted young. Tell you what. I will discuss this with Alpha Nathan and see if he knows more. I'm not a wolf, and while I have tried to educate myself completely, for your sake there is still more I don't know. But I want to help. Eleanor throws herself against the back of the couch, crying, I'm doomed. It's over. My life is ruined. Is this what I've become? I've reduced myself to taking advice about mates and wolves from the Wicked Witch. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. And Victoria started laughing. She says, you ungrateful, overly dramatic monkey butt. To your room. You need a timeout. And they chased each other up the stairs laughing hysterically. Declan had just rounded the corner to the hall to his office, and Christine is pinned against the wall, seemingly by a warrior trying to eat her face. I could be mistaken, but I looked over my shoulder at Evan and said, get rid of it, and just as he had them turned to usher them out, it opened its mouth. What's wrong, Declan? Jealous? And he laughed. Absolutely not. Then he really laughed. He asked, is that what your little display was about? To make me jealous? You failed, but you did succeed in making me disgusted. Now. Never address me out of my title again. And never enter this hall again. And Blaze, get some air freshener up here. I am not smelling de slut all day. He opened his office door and Evan was helping Blaze off the floor with little success because they were both laughing so hard. The boys had settled into their routine, signing off on pack transfers and commodity requisitions, when Alpha Nathan summoned them all to his office. Declan sighed. He spent the better part of the morning in there. He loves his dad, he does, but he's tired of him today. They stepped into the office and pulled up short when they saw another alpha there. Declan looked at his dad with a question on his face. Nathan indicated for them to sit, and once they had, he spoke, gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to Alpha Caleb Montgomery. Everyone shook hands, exchanging names. Once they settled back down, Nathan said, Caleb has come with news that could affect our pack. We will hold our questions until he has finished. Caleb? The floor is yours. Caleb cleared his throat and started. Allow me to preface this with my brother is insane. He is searching for my niece with every intention of killing her before the mantle settles on her 18th birthday. That leaves me 46 days to get her back in martial arts training and her weaponry. He hasn't found her, and I have made certain there was no paper trail to follow, but she is enrolled in school. That will end today. His intentions for Victoria are unclear. One minute he says he wants her dead, and the next he wants to keep her as his mistress. That is the most imminent threat, at the moment. The next threat is there are 3 alphas all wanting to mate her for the mantle. What no one seems to remember is that mantle is hers by birthright, and she can only release it to one person, and even then it is only by half. That person is her true mate. No one else. It won't revert to my brother, if she dies, and it wouldn't ever fall to his second born. If she dies, the mantle is lost. Once she finds her true mate and they have mated and marked each other, her mate's strength will almost double while hers will double completely. A mantle is only granted to certain bloodlines, as you know, Nathan. I feel the mantle sitting on your son as we speak. At his ascension, it will settle. While I am asking in your assistance in this matter, know that I will fight, on my own, if needs be, to protect my niece. I have been a part of her life since birth, and she is like my own. I don't have the names of the alphas yet, but I will soon. And I am well aware of my brother's strengths and weaknesses. Now I'm open to questions. Declan was the first to ask, how much of a threat does she present to our pack? Caleb swivels his head and asks, is that your fear, as well? I can load Victoria and Eleanor up and have them gone in an hour, Nathan. I only sent them here because we've always had each other's backs. Declan speaks up. I didn't mean it personally, I meant how well do we need to prepare? I'm not worried. We have enough warriors, enough technology. One just meant, how much should I step up training? Caleb said, my brother's warriors are weak ill-trained. He hasn't even bothered keeping his pack healthy the last several years. I believe his wolf may be dying. When he rejected Victoria 19 years ago, he was bedridden for 2 weeks. A true mate is nothing to take for granted. Evan speaks. Who's gonna tell Eleanor? She's gonna be spitting nails. I don't want to be the one to tell her, but I want to be in the room. It will be funny as fuck to watch her head explode. Everyone laughed. Caleb says, I see you know my niece well, and they laughed again. Blaze asks. When she meets her mate, what if he isn't an alpha though? How would the mantle work then? Caleb's response is it doesn't matter what his rank is, if he is her mate he will be alpha. Caleb looks at Nathan and says, would it be an imposition to pull Eleanor and Victoria out of town and into the pack house? It would be more convenient for her refresher training as well as easier to protect her. Nathan nods, saying that's not a problem, but we are still left with the dilemma of telling her, and they all laughed again. Nathan suggests getting them in here and throwing Caleb to the lions, as they all volunteered him to tell Eleanor. Caleb laughs and says he is not afraid she is out of practice, and if she comes at him, he thinks he can take her. Which struck Evan particularly funny. Nathan looked up and says Victoria just texted, they will be here in about 10 minutes. Shall we move this to the conference room? It's getting crowded in here. And Evan, link your mother to bring snacks and lots of coffee, I know Eleanor will need it. And that struck Declan funny. Audrey had joined the guys by the time Eleanor and Victoria arrived. When the warrior opened the door to let them in, they all heard a high-pitched squeal that had everyone except Caleb, who knew it was just his niece being excited. And excited she was. She flew through the door and leaped across the table, and he caught her just as she wrapped her arms and legs around him. She whispered, I could smell you. And tears flowed down her cheeks. Then it was, why are you here? Is Bonnie okay? Are you okay? What's happening? Do we have to move again? Why didn't you let Mom know you were coming? And he says, take a breath, monkey butt. I can't answer even one of your rapid-fire questions. I am constantly trying to pick out which one to answer first. Everyone laughed and Audrey said, I'm out of breath listening to her. Which brought another round of laughter. Caleb led her and Victoria to seats at the table. Declan set a cup of coffee down in front of them both, but in Eleanor's he had unknowingly used French vanilla cream and she held it to her nose, inhaling deeply, knowing Declan had no idea what he'd done, and Caleb began his story. He explained that there were 3 alphas that are determined to forcibly mate her, and when she asked why they just don't wait until they kill each other fighting over her, then she will kill the last man standing, he laughed and said it was a completely plausible idea with one tiny flaw, and that being the 3 have joined together and combined their warriors to take out whoever is harboring Eleanor. Take her then, they would fight it out to see who gets her. She sat there analyzing everything, paying attention to it all. Then he began to explain about her mantle and her father wanting to kill her and all that entails. She blew. She jumped up and said he has taken everything. He took our home. And now he is taking another one. He is taking my right to a normal life. I don't get to go to my senior prom. I don't get to graduate. I don't get to watch my mother be happy because he crushed her. He took her away from me before I even got here. And Victoria grabbed her into arms and held her tight. She whispered, he broke my heart, yes, but he gave me you. And he gave us Uncle Caleb, and he gave me the strength to overcome what he did. Caleb says, once you find your mate you will be better protected. I think we can possibly get those 3 alphas to back away once the lure of the mantle is gone, and Eleanor leans forward and says, but I found my mate, and everyone looks at her bug-eyed and she backpedals, I mean, I don't know. I think so, and Lacey thinks so, but I only have a scent. I don't know. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but it sure felt like it when that coffee vanilla smell hit me. My knees buckled. I'm rambling. All I know is the sperm donor best not come for me. He will never be able to best me. He can pound sand down a rat hole with a better chance. Nathan stood and said, Eleanor, why don't you catch up with your uncle a few minutes, then we can all meet in the dining hall for dinner. Victoria, will you join my family in my office? And Blaze, Eleanor, and Caleb went out one set of doors as Nathan took his family through another. Once they had all gotten settled in the office, he walked over and poured himself a stiff whiskey. He sat behind his desk and heaved a sigh. He says, Victoria, what age did Eleanor shift? Victoria responds, 14. Nathan says, it's possible then. It's possible she found her mate. What do you think? Victoria said, Eleanor came to me yesterday and told me she had found her mate. She believes, and Lacey is pretty sure. I, unfortunately, am not a wolf authority. Sue me, so I told her we would talk to you and get your opinion. And when you handed her that coffee with vanilla cream, she had that same look on her face that she had last night. Nathan looked over at Declan. Son, anything to add here? Declan looks up and says, what does Eleanor smell like? Victoria cocks a half grin and says, warm chocolate and cayenne pepper. Sweet and spicy. Declan's eyes get huge and he says, Dad? Nathan chuckles and says, well, reckon you figured out what that something about Eleanor is. And laughs harder and says, now, you get to tell her. This is gonna be fun. And the whole room laughs except Declan. They all head to the dining room and Declan is practically vibrating with nerves. He's worried she won't want him after what her dad did to her mom and knowing he didn't wait for her. Please goddess, don't let her reject us. Everyone is eating and chatting and Declan releases his scent and he watches to see her reaction and her nose comes up and she breathes deeply. Then her head is swiveling from side to side and her eyes land on him. Her eyes get huge and he mind links her, can we talk? And she nods. They all sit talking a few more minutes and Declan stands up and says, Eleanor and I are going to take a walk while I'll decide how to get them moved here. They've walked quite a ways and he leads her to a meadow. There's fresh snow on the ground. He takes his hoodie off and puts it on her. He says there was something about you from that first day. You were always in my mind. And then the next day at school. The way you handled Christine and Goddess. Those ass cheeks at phys ed. Something about you. Then at dinner when you refused to throw Christine under the bus. Or when I watched your heart shatter all over your face when your mom apologized for you. There was something about you. And now I know what that something is. She whispered, are you going to reject me? Because if you are, you best believe I will still be walking away a virgin. I won't let what happened to my mom happen to me. He said no. Goddess, no. Are you going to reject me? Because of what your dad did? She shook her head no. He smiled great big and speaks, well then I, future Alpha Declan Sullivan, accept you Eleanor Montgomery, as my mate and future Luna, she repeated back to him and he couldn't have stopped himself, even if he wanted to. He leaned down and kissed her. He felt her lips begin to move under his, and he ran his tongue along her lower lip and her mouth opened to let him in. He pulled back and she whispered, my first kiss, rubbing her fingers across her lips. He lifted her and spun them around and said, your first kiss and your last first kiss. And he laughed. Then he says, do you want to run? And Lacey moved straight to the front and nodded. They shifted and took off into the night. Demon led Lacey to his waterfall and they played and splashed. And then he wrapped his big black body around her smaller sable one and they napped. They slept about an hour then raced back to the pack house. They walked in through the doors and both their families had all eyes on them. Eleanor giggles under her breath and says awkward. And Declan laughs saying she said yes. And the room erupted. Audrey and Victoria were hugging Eleanor and all the guys were congratulating Declan. Eleanor said, I have to call Diane. And took out her phone. Declan stayed her hand and said just link her. She retorts, I can't. She doesn't have a pack link. Nathan heard and asks, who? Who doesn't have a pack link? And Declan says Eleanor's friend Diane Dawson. Nathan looks like he's racking his brain and he mutters Dawson Elliot Dawson? He told me his wife and daughter died. What the fuck? Can you get your friend here, sweet girl? She nods and Evan leans over to her and says, Dad likes you best, don't hear him calling us that, do you? She giggled and said, I'll be sure and let him know you're feeling left out because he doesn't call you sweet girl, and turned to walk over to Declan with Evan chasing her and begging her not to tell his dad that, and she's just laughing. Diane comes in and she asks, what is it? Are you okay? I was worried your text was so obtuse. Eleanor giggled and said, I love you for caring so much. Nothing is wrong. Everything is wonderful. Declan is my mate. Eep. And the whole house whines. Diane said, fuck. That's worse than a dog whistle. And every person in the room cracked up. Nathan stepped over to Diane and asked if she would come to his office with Eleanor for a minute and she nodded. Eleanor took her hand and Declan followed them to the office. When they all were seated, Nathan speaks directly to Diane. I am led to understand you don't have a pack link. Can you explain why that is? She whispered, I was told you said I didn't need one. He shook his head, saying I would never say anything of the kind. Dear one, Eleanor mind links Declan, damn. He even likes Diane more than Evan. I can't wait to tell him. Declan tried not to laugh. Nathan looks at us, shaking his head. Then he says, Diane, we can establish a link right now, if you'd like, and her smile got so big she could only nod. Nathan takes the ceremonial dagger and inducts Diane into the pack by having her swear allegiance, and they clasp their sliced palms. Nathan then tells Declan, get Elliot Dawson in here by 9 in the morning. Diane, I want to push you, but one day soon I'd like to hear your story, and she nodded again. Nathan looked up and his eyes glazed, and we waited to see what the link was about. He grinned at us and reached his arm out and pulled the door open and our families filed in. Evan says this is getting to be a bad habit. And we all laughed. Nathan said I called you all here because in 45 days we will be having a birthday party followed by an Alpha Ascension and Luna ceremony with the Beta and Gamma S swearing in to take place directly after. I am retiring, son. I'm tired. I want to travel the world with my Luna. You are ready. And once you mate and mark your Luna on the night of your ascension, you will become the strongest Alpha on the planet. You will be a double-mantled Alpha. That hasn't happened in 1,000 years. Ladies, I leave the planning and designing in your capable hands. Now, I believe this has been a hell of a long day. I say we call it a night. Eleanor was walking with Evan tormenting him about his dad even liking Diane better and they were shoving each other back and forth with Declan chuckling behind them and they stepped into the Alpha S hallway and there leaning against Declan S door is Christine. Evan starts to snicker. Says this is gonna be good. Declan bellows, why the fuck are you in the Alpha S hall? And she whines something is wrong with the lock. Declan. I can't get in. And he yells no shit you can't get in. I have told you numerous times to never address me any other way but Alpha. And you know for a fucking fact we are done. We have been done. This is the last time I have this conversation with you. Next time you go to the cells. She storms off yelling something about him regretting it and Eleanor said I would give it 2 days before she hits the cells and Evan laughs saying, some fools never learn. Declan enters his father's office the next morning, hearing him setting up an appointment for 3 today and demon stirs in his mind. Declan asks him what's wrong. That appointment there's something, I'm not sure, but we aren't going to be happy. Does it have to do with Eleanor, do you think? I'm not sure. This shit with finding our mate has me messed up too. It's not like I was born knowing everything, Wolfie. I want simple things. Humans are too complicated. Okay. I will discuss it with Dad. Don't have to be a dick. Nathan was watching his son, several minutes. When Declan looked up and noticed, he smiled sheepishly. Demon ass being a dick. So, what appointment was that? Nathan half chuckled. Alpha Nicholas. He is coming this way and wants to discuss becoming allies. Wouldn't he discuss it on the phone? I'm going to let you and Evan take lead on this one. I'm just going to observe. Tell me what you remember about Nicholas. Training starts now and he laughs. Declan smirks. Alpha Nicholas ascended at 18 when his father was killed by rogues. Has been Alpha 12 years. Single, never found his mate or didn't he care to. Blood River Pack in Missouri has been in his family for 3 generations. Medium size, roughly 800 people. Only 200 warriors, and poorly trained. Doesn't he believe in ranks Alpha and Beta? That's all. Everyone else is Omega. 2 siblings living one of each. Sister is mated to his Beta. Drawing a blank. To any more? What did I miss? Nathan smiles and says nothing. That was impressive. Can you do that with the other Alphas? Declan shrugs and nods. He asks there's nothing specific Nicholas spoke to for this impromptu visit? The timing feels off to me and Demon isn't taking the information well and he doesn't know why. Apparently, he wasn't born knowing everything. Wolfie, who knew? Nathan shakes his head. That's why you're taking lead. This will be all yours in less than 2 months, and he starts laughing so hard he snorted. Declan laughs lowly way to instill confidence. Dad. I have until 3 to prepare, and I don't even know what to prepare for. I guess I will prepare for anything and expect the worst. Nathan chuckles again. There's my Alpha son. Declan left Nathan. In search of Evan and Blaze. He found them playing COD with against Eleanor and Diane, so he stood there and watched a few minutes. Diane kept asking questions, complaining she kept dying and Blaze and Evan were ganging up on her. Eleanor was cracking up and grabbed Diane's controller and started stalking Evan and Evan yelled, "You can't kill me with someone else's controller," so Eleanor giggles saying, "Watch me." Oh damn. Evan, shit, is that a grenade? Yep, looks like a grenade and you're trapped behind the wall. Oh, deep breath, bye-bye, and Declan laughed as the screen explodes and Evan dies. Eleanor was laughing and kicking her feet in the air. That S3 bro. 3 times you die. Doesn't matter which controller. I could use Blaze's controller and you'd still die. Blaze starts tickling her saying, "Next time, you are on my team. Say it, say you'll be on my team," and he kept tickling her until she agreed and Blaze jumps up and says, "In your face." Boom. Goes the dynamite, bitch. And they all laugh like mad. Idiots. Declan sat on the couch, pulled Lynn into his lap, and asked Evan how he knew she would kill him with Diane's controller, and he laughed saying, "She kills me every time. Doesn't matter which side I play on and not Blaze, only me." She literally will pass Blaze to get to me. I'm thinking she cheats or uses her witchy skills, and they all laugh. Declan tells them. Boys, we have a meeting with an alpha Nicholas at 3 today. We are taking lead, as Dad wants us to acclimate Blaze. Arrange the conference room. We have no idea what he wants but to request this meeting, out of the blue, has my radar online. He kisses Eleanor and whispers, can you lay low while this alpha is here? I don't trust this meeting, and she nods, smiling sweetly saying I will be in the training center with Caleb kicking his ass. Anyway, he laughs and tells her he loves her confidence. She smirks, facts, baby, facts, and walks out giggling. The conference room is ready and all 3 of the men are standing on the front steps of the pack house waiting and have been waiting for the last 15 minutes for Alpha Nicholas to exit his vehicle, and by the time he does, Declan is pissed. This upstart requested a meeting, giving a set time for said meeting to take place only to show up late sitting in his vehicle, while leaving him and his men standing like lackeys waiting on their master's pleasure. Fuck that. His first official act as acting alpha is gonna be knocking another alpha out. Nicholas steps towards Declan and introduces himself. Young Alpha Declan. I'm Nicholas Bennett and this is my beta Ben Kahi. Declan looks them both up and down and says right. Follow me. And spun on his heel to reach the conference room, before the walls had holes. Evan indicates where Declan wanted both men to sit. It was a strategic plan for optimum observation. Once they were all seated, Declan remained standing in front of his chair, at the head of the table. Just looking at the other alpha, allowing his anger to wash through the room. Several minutes later, he takes his seat and begins to speak. Alpha Nicholas, I'm not at all sure why you have requested this meeting. As far as I know, you have never been this far east. I am also not at all sure what you hope to achieve by asking for a certain time to have this meeting, then sitting in your vehicle, waving it in my face, your every intention of being late. My every instinct tells me to tell you to leave, yet, my wolf is curious. I'm feeling generous today, so I'm going to accommodate him. The floor is yours. Nicholas chuckles a bit and says I apologize for that. I'll admit it is a tactic I use to keep others off balance. It has served me well in the past, however, this is the first time I have been called on it. The reasons for my visit are complicated and difficult to describe without sounding self-serving. I have been traveling for the past 2 months trying to gain allies. I am wanting to enlarge my pack, but to do so, I need warriors. I have tried recruiting and that has resulted in about 20 men joining my ranks. But they aren't the most trustworthy gentlemen. They've lived hard, and training them to unlearn these behaviors is time-consuming. And I find myself running short on time. I would really appreciate becoming allies with you. A pack this size carries weight in all parts of the country. By being in good standing with the largest pack on the East Coast, could possibly open doors to transfers to my pack. My second order of business is a simple one. My mate is missing. She disappeared roughly 2 weeks ago and unfortunately, we don't know if she was taken or has gone into hiding. She is a very special wolf and many people are searching for her. They would like nothing better than to prevent our mating, and I need to protect her. If our alliance is concreted today, I would ask for the loan of some warriors to aid in my search, and he sits back with a smarmy grin, convinced he has sold his case. As he was speaking, Declan forced himself to remain seated, acting calm. And he realized one of the 3 is sitting in front of him. Now, how to play it. Finally he starts to speak. I'm hearing a lot of contradictory instructions, Nicholas. I am failing to understand how an alliance with a pack 1,000 miles away from me would, in any way, benefit my people. You import nothing into your pack, you have no export. I do not need the aid of your warriors, and I know you only have 16 females in your pack, all mated. I am going to table the alliance discussions for a moment, as I am more intrigued about this mate of yours. Who is she? Why would she hide from you? What is her name, her description? Why would she run to the East Coast from Missouri? See where I'm going with this? Did you think I would blindly accept an alliance and immediately help you find this girl? Excuse me a minute, I have an urgent phone call I must take. Declan stepped into his father's office and said he asked one of the 3 alphas. I would like you and Aaron to sit in and listen to what he has to say. I know how I'm going to play it. I just don't want to lose my temper, and I know with you and Palladius in the room, Demon will respond to you. Nathan nods and says then let us go. Declan breezes back into conference and apologizes for the interruption and introduces Nathan and Aaron. Then he speaks, please, Nicholas continue. Nicholas clears his throat and stutters through his next statements. My pack may be small, but we are growing. And the best way to do that, I need alliances. I need larger packs backing me to get the appropriate doors opened. I realize we are further apart than is ideal. But an alliance protects you as well as it does me. Declan scoffs. How so? Again, I am failing to see any benefits. From what I'm hearing, your new warriors and their behavioral problems sound too much like rogue mentality for me to be comfortable with. You have still adamantly avoided any information about your missing mate, and if you want any help from me at all, those blanks need filling. Nicholas sighed and says there is limited information I can give you simply because my information is limited. The girl in question is a bastard daughter of an alpha in Louisville. She is my chosen mate. A part of a deal I made with her father. I had to wait until her 18th birthday to claim her, which is in 2 months, at the end of March. I don't have a photograph of her to even help you recognize her, if you saw her. Like I said, she is a special wolf and is in danger. I just want to protect her and get her back to Missouri where she is supposed to be, and Declan smirked. He responds, I fail to see how I can help you. I haven't been made aware of any runaways in my territory, and I can say everyone residing in my territories are pack members. It sounds to me like you are looking for a needle in a haystack. Without so much as a picture of this girl, how can you be certain you'll even know her yourself, if you see her? How would you recognize her? And Nicholas retorts, I will know her. Trust me on that. I may not know what she looks like, or even a decent description, but she is a mantled alpha and there is no other she-wolf in existence with such a thing. And Declan laughs, saying there it is. There's the reason you want this girl. You want the mantle. You do know she can't pass the mantle, if you aren't her true mate, don't you? They do educate you people out there in the backwoods, right? You're chasing unicorns and I cannot see my way clear to agree to help you in any way. You don't even know what she looks like. It's a wild goose chase I will not indulge in. Good day, Nicholas. Nicholas slammed his chair back and stood glaring daggers at Declan, who just sat calmly watching until Nicholas stormed from the room. Nathan stood up to leave with Aaron, and said, I'm leaving our pack in very capable hands. I'm ready to sip cocktails on the beach. Laughing, he walked out. Declan sat there looking at the guys. He says, Blaze, research the Blood River pack. I want to know what alliances he has acquired in the last 2 months. He has been seeking also. All known associations, especially any new ones. I want to know his affiliation to Montgomery, and I damned sure want to know about his new pack members. If that fucker is building an army, I need to know. I want everything on him, right down to when he takes a shit. Evan tells them he is going to speak to Caleb. With his pack being in the area, he will have something that might shed some light. Declan jumps up saying, I'll come with, I want to see Eleanor in action, and they all laughed and walked over to the training center. As they stepped through the doors, Declan looked around in confusion. All his warriors were lined up, leaning against the wall, staring at the center ring. He thinks, why are they not training? Then he hears the ringing clang of blade against blade and spins his head to what they were looking at in the center ring. In spandex shorts and a sports bra with her sable hair wrapped on the top of her head in a messy bun was his mate. Spinning and twirling, what looks like a katana, over her head and around her stomach, landing blow after stinging blow on her uncle. He had nicks and gashes all over him, and she had one nick on her thigh and another on her upper arm. Damn. She's fast. He couldn't stop watching, he couldn't not watch her. She's phenomenal. She spun left and under his arm, to snap up behind him with the katana braced against his neck. She grins from ear to ear and says, you're slowing down, old man. That's 3. And laughs as he lunges at her and tosses her over his shoulder and bringing her to Declan. He smiles and says, she's learned all I can teach her. If you'll excuse me, Evan has asked to speak with me, and walks away. Declan pulls Eleanor into him and just breathes her in. He asks her to walk with him and takes her hand. They head out into the woods and he tells her about the meeting with Nicholas. She thinks a minute. Declan, it seems like it's more like I'm missing some significant detail. I am told my sperm donor wants me dead, then we hear I have been sold to another alpha. I'm missing something. Declan kept quiet for a while, thinking over everything she said. She's right. Something doesn't set well. 3 alphas want the mantle. What does Montgomery really want? Victoria is his true mate, and he would have known her general location by the pull alone. And not once did he go see her, not once had he tried to contact her. He needs to discuss that with Caleb. Declan looks at her beautiful face and smiles. Would you like to go for a run? Demon needs to stretch. She grins and nods, stepping behind a tree to strip. Declan shifted into the all black of Demon and walked over to lick Lacey's muzzle. She was solid sable and almost as tall as Demon. A stunning alpha she-wolf, and she is his. Demon twisted and leaped, running off. Lacey crouched and sprung, passing him. Declan links her. You have a mark behind your ear. It's not defined enough to tell what it is because of your fur probably. Is it a birthmark? The fur is such a beautiful golden color, stark contrast to the mahogany. She nods, letting him know it's a birthmark, and even in my skin, it's hard to see. Behind my left ear. A crescent moon and 3 stars. My mom won't tell me what it means, but I know it means something. She gets anxious when I asked her about it, so I stopped. I forget about it mostly unless it is itching or burning, but that only happens when it glows. They had run the perimeter of the packlands and returned. He stepped over to the tree where his clothes were and she did the same. She walked up to him and he pulled her into his arms, kissing her lightly. Then he tilted her head to see the mark. She laughed out loud, telling him, I knew that's the first thing you would do. Declan's POV. Eleanor went to find Diane. She hadn't really talked to her much, since she was brought into the pack, and she wants to make sure she's okay. I walked through the living room to the kitchen looking for my mom. She is helping Nancy, our head cook, make lemon bars. I asked, Mom, you got a minute? She nods, grabs a cup of coffee and sits at the counter. I'm nervous. Trying to not sound like a wuss, I say I don't want my Ascension and Luna ceremony to be traditional. Eleanor, doesn't he get a prom? Is there any way we can set the ballroom up to resemble a school dance? Maybe take her out to find a prom dress? I want it to be special for her, Mom. She stood and walked around the counter to hug me like I had invented ice cream and tells me, you have grown into a wonderful man. I am proud of you. And of course, we can compromise. The ceremony adheres to tradition and the ballroom will turn into a themed dance. I must speak to Victoria, and she zooms out of the kitchen and I look at Nancy saying she is excited and we laugh. Heading to my office, I link Evan and Blaze to meet up. I'm Googling Eleanor's mark. Trying to figure out the significance, all I'm finding is tattoo flashings and drawings. I look up at Evan and spin my laptop around. What do you think of this? And Evan looks at it a second and shrugs, it's pretty? I roll my eyes, no. You fucking moron. I'm asking because I was wondering if you can think of any symbolism it may represent, and he says, oh. Okay. But it is pretty. Blaze laughs, idiot. I tell them it's Eleanor's birthmark, but I want to keep it between us until I know more about it. It's specific, detailed. Most birthmarks are random and Misha Pen and werewolves rarely have any. Evan tells me he and Blaze will check the library for anything, but I could always ask Victoria. I replied no. Eleanor said she just brushes it off whenever she asks. I would love to speak to Dad about it. But I'm still inclined to keep it between us, until we know more anyway. A knock at the door has me raising an eyebrow. Come in, and walks Christine. Evan looks at Blaze and says fuck. I owe Eleanor a week of fetching her coffee. Blaze laughs and asks why. He shakes his head. I was stupid and misjudged the ignorance of Christine. At that, I laughed. I said, what do you want, Christine? I linked my dad and asked if he and Aaron could come to my office. I didn't want this to get out of hand. Christine starts crying and spewing words I can't understand while Blaze is sitting staring and saying she is crying. Why is she crying? Make it stop. My goddess. It's going to make my ears bleed. Why is she making that noise? And I burst out laughing. I tell her to stop crying, I can't understand her. My dad knocks, as he is opening the door, and Aaron demands, why are you here, Christine? She doesn't respond right away and he yells, answer me. She whimpers, I need to talk to Declan alone. I shook my head, not happening. So, what do you want? She looks around at everyone in the room and whispers, it's personal, and Evan says, just spit it out. How personal can it be? And 3 things happen at once. She snaps, I'm pregnant, okay, happy? Her dad slaps her into next week and I fell out of my chair, laughing. My father looks pissed. He tells me I had better explain. I replied, there's really nothing to explain. I fucked her, yes, about 5 months ago. It wasn't that good. And I wore a condom. There's no way I'm anybody's dad. If she is even pregnant. Aaron snapped at his daughter, explain yourself now, girl. She screams, he is supposed to be mine. He is mine. I am going to be Luna. I have been reading all the books. I'm a Beta's daughter and we grew up together. Everything makes sense, why can't you see that? And her father says what I see is a troubled young girl. We are going to the infirmary for a pregnancy test, then you are packing a bag. You're heading to the academy. He grabbed her arm and dragged her out the door. Lesson learned, son, my dad laughs. I said she used to be nice someone to hang out with. I was drunk the night I had sex with her and I told her it would never happen again. And it didn't. But I never dreamed she would take it to this extreme. She knows we aren't teammates. I told her a million times, I wanted my mate. I don't get it. Evan asks what else to get. She became obsessed. And now, she is going to a military school. Best hope she gets her crazy fixed, or when she comes back, she will not only be crazy but trained to kick your ass. And they all laughed. Hardy har har motherfucker. Eleanor waltzes in to tell me lunch is ready and she looks around. Says I smell a skank. So Blaze proceeds to spill everything that happened. She starts laughing. She thought she could pull the pregnancy card? Does no one pay attention in school? She-wolves only get pregnant one of two ways. Her true mate. Or her chosen mate, but only after they've marked each other, and then it can take a long time, if at all. I had forgotten that, and I realized everyone else had, too. As Eleanor and I headed out for lunch, she spins and screeches eep. I don't have to get my own coffee for a month. And I said, baby, we gotta work on that scream. It's painful, and we all laugh. We're sitting at the head of the table as Victoria and Caleb come in. Shortly followed by Diane. Caleb speaks. I will be leaving today, after lunch. I don't want Julian getting suspicious if he finds me gone. Plus, I want to see if I can glean any other information. A single tear rolls down Eleanor's face. As she whispers, I'll miss you. He blows her a kiss and say, I'll be back as soon as I have something to report. I nodded and thanked him. I appreciate everything you're trying to do for my mate and her mother. I smile down at my little mate tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. I ask, what are your plans after lunch? She kisses my cheek and tells me Diane and I will be in the study setting up schooling online. It will be easier to take, having someone to share it with. And she giggles. I love how open she is with her affection. She is always touching me in subtle ways, leaving kisses on my face. She is perfect for me, in every way. After lunch, I told the guys to meet me in the library. I need to research. As I am walking out, I hear Evan. I need coffee. In the study, my man. And I chuckle. He is going to regret that bet. 3 hours. 3 fucking hours. And I haven't found anything. Blaze has chewed through 4 pencils and Evan lost a shoe. No. We don't know how, and we don't know where. It's just gone. Blaze says okay, you say going to her mom about it is useless, but what about your dad? He may not know anything either, but he could point us in the right direction, maybe? That's actually a good idea. I like it. Dad? What I need, my boy? I'm in the library. Eleanor has a birthmark that her mother says is nothing, but I'm not sure. It's a crescent moon surrounded by 3 stars. And I can find nothing in here to help me. I will be right there. My dad's coming. Good idea, Blaze. He shrugs and tells us it happens sometimes. And we laugh. Nathan walks into the library never slowing down, says follow me, and all the guys get up. He walks to a door you wouldn't see if you didn't know it was there. Nathan placed his palm on a keypad and the door swung inward. Turning on the lights, Nathan told them to sit. He spoke, this is the Kingdom Archives. Our pack was designated the keepers by the moon goddess herself. In this room are centuries of wolves' history. In here, only the most sacred of secrets are kept. We will program your handprint today, Declan. I believe what you are seeking you will find in these tomes. I will tell you this, be careful what you wish for. With that being said, I believe something big is already in motion. And it involves you and your mate. Start with the tomes on prophecy. See if there is any reference to Eleanor's mark. After Nathan left, Declan sat there, looking at Evan and Blaze. Evan quietly says he really is grooming us to take over. In 8 stinking days. Are we ready? Have we been trained enough? Declan tells him stop it. We are ready. We have trained our entire lives for it. We have already been handling all paperwork for the pack. We know the ins and outs of everything in this pack. We were taking over in August, anyway. It's only 4 months sooner, not 4 years. Blaze gets up and starts looking at the book titles. He mutters, holy shit. There's the history of every pack in the world. This is going to be a long day. I am going to read the history of Luna's father's pack first. See where that takes me. And he lifts down the history of Black River Pack. Evan starts with the legends about special wolves, choosing it because it speaks of hybrids. Declan starts with prophecies, and after 20 minutes or so he looks up fuck me. In this book alone over 2,000 prophecies are discussed. And there are 8, count them, 8 books in total. This is going to take forever. Evan asks, are you sure we can't ask her mom? Idiot. 5 hours. They have sat reading for 5 hours. Evan had switched over to prophecies with Declan. He had figured out a system with the legends, and all he had to do was check the pictures. He found a couple pictures with a moon and stars, but Declan let him know they weren't right, and once Evan had asked, is it this one? For the 1,000th time Declan drew a picture of it and Evan said, dumbass. Could we done that to begin with? Declan shrugs and tells him he had described it and Evan should have paid attention. Blaze looks up from the book he hasn't stopped reading and says Black River was the shit back in the day. Strongest alpha, strongest warriors, largest pack. For over 800 years. Their goddess-given mantle has never left the pack. Always passed down to the oldest child of the alpha. They did everything right back. The monarchy swore allegiance to 3 separate regimes. 140 years ago a revolution arose to dethrone the king. And when Black River was called to defend the kingdom, the alpha didn't go to their aid. He sat at his pack house declaring what will be, and the kingdom fell. When the royal family was assassinated, the kingdom sealed in on itself. The gates still stand, but no one can walk up to them. They are thrown back. The Alpha Montgomery of that time was duly elected as senior council member, presiding over a council of 8, all of whom he appointed. When Julian ascended, his father took over as senior council until 20 years ago someone assassinated him, in his sleep. Around that time, Julian was a busy man whore. Banging anything with a twat. He hasn't changed much, only now he sees a she-wolf, he takes her, and makes her a sex slave. Doesn't matter who she is, mated or not, and only the women of his pack. Members with daughters coming of age have been escaping in the night to save their girls. The last 5 years, alone his pack has gone from 10,000 to less than 4,500. Most of them are elderly. He is a shit alpha and abuses his people. Now I ask you, why did Caleb not mention this to your dad? Declan says, good question. Then he says, but I'm not going to cast aspersions on him. Eleanor loves him, so any information we find on him we keep to ourselves until we can prove it. Pull the book on Black Moon, see when Caleb became alpha there. Blaze salutes I cap N, and Declan threw a pencil at him which he promptly put in his mouth. Eleanor links Declan, babe? Where are you and the boys? It's 9 o'clock and you all missed dinner. I brought food to the library because Nathan said you were there. But nope. I am so sorry, Kuor Mio, we will be right out. They stepped into the room and she squealed. Is that a secret passageway? A tunnel? Where does it lead? Where did you come from? I wanna see. Declan started laughing and Evan says, damn girl. You need to slow down on that coffee. She smirked, why, all been MIA for 8 hours, translating into me having to get 4 cups of my own coffee, slacker. So don't tell me slow down. And don't change the subject. And what did you call me, Declan? It was sexy. And Blaze and Evan choked on spit, trying not to laugh. Declan pulls her to him, kissing her lips, and he smiles. It means my heart in Italian. And no, that door doesn't hide a secret passageway or a tunnel. It's just another room, a library, like this one, but that one is the archives of wolf history. She jumps up and down. Can I see? Can I read our history? I know next to nothing about us because, well, Mom is a witch and she doesn't really like wolves. He laughed and says, tomorrow, after school, you can join us and read to your heart's content. Now I'm starving, where's our food, woman? And he smacked her ass. They all sat down so the guys could eat, and she was animated about getting set up for school. I got everything set up and all my courses situated, and decided to catch up on what I missed, and before I knew it, I had been sat there for 5 hours and am already a month ahead of the school in my assignments. How frickin' cool am I? Declan laughed and Blaze tells her, too cool for school, and she groans, is this what you have to work with? I'm so sorry, love. And they all laughed. Declan told her, I know it's getting late, but I need to speak to my dad about something important. I will meet you in the bedroom in a bit. She nods. I want to find my mom and tell her good night. Then I'm going to soak in a hot bath until I'm a raisin. And she left to do just that. Declan looked at Evan and Blaze and they're trying not to laugh. He says, yeah. Laugh it up. That image is now stuck in my brain and I am going to have serious blue balls all week. And the stopper was pulled as they let it go. Declan linked Nathan, asking to see him, and they have been talking for an hour. Nathan looked at his son. You learned quite a bit, your first foray into yesteryears. Declan shook his head. That was all Blaze. He is tenacious as a bulldog with a bone when he sets his mind to something. I am inclined to agree with him though. Why didn't Caleb mention how big a douche Julian is? Is he ashamed? Or does he not realize? He hasn't lived there in 20 years, maybe he really doesn't know. I want to know. I need to give him the benefit of the doubt for Eleanor's sake. His dad nods and tells him he understands. Declan's POV. I linked Blaze not to let Eleanor see he is reading about Caleb's pack while we are in the archives because I agreed to spend the entire day with her, not that I'm complaining. Eleanor walks in with us and is in awe. This is awesome. I have an idea, hear me out. Why I'll think my birthmark is symbolic, something to possibly do with a prophecy. I'm guessing if you're right, then whatever prophecy it could be would have been written within the last 140 years after the dynasty fell and Julian's pack went to shit. Maybe, if we start there and work our way backwards, we can figure this out faster. I swing her into my lap and kiss her. You are an absolute genius, amore mio. We had been at it for a few hours and were taking a break. Evan had gone to get coffee because he makes stupid bets. Eleanor had started yawning about a half hour ago, so coffee seems the way to go. Evan was walking back in when Eleanor squealed, listen. Listen to this. And she will be born with the strength of an alpha, bearing the mark of the blessed moon and the stars of the witch's triad. On the full moon, when she and her true-born mate mark and mate one another, they sleep for 3 days, transitioning into their full power. That's us, right? We sit there dumbfounded. I'm speechless. I linked my dad and said we found something significant. And he stormed in the door asking what was found. Eleanor flipped the book at him and he read. He looks at Eleanor and asks, may I see it? And she tilts her head and lifts her hair. His fingers trace it and looks at Evan go back to picture searching. I understand the moon. The crescent moon is the blessed moon, and to be born with it is to be blessed by the goddess herself. But, I don't know the witch's triad. I would, ideally, want to speak with Victoria, in regards to this, but she has not been very forthcoming. I'm sorry, Eleanor. I mean no disrespect. She shakes her head no. I get it. She shuts me down when I ask anything and I get it makes her uncomfortable and she thinks she is protecting me. But what the fuck? If we are part of a prophecy, we should be aware. Instead of having to figure this shit out on our own. How is that even fair? Nathan shakes his head and says I get it. I do. She may not know what the mark signifies. I would still like to ask otherwise, when the pair of you go under for 3 days she is going to panic. I'm going to make some calls, keep reading. I pull the book to me, and pick up where she left off. Hopefully, there is something more concrete we can build on. Eleanor is helping Evan research the triad and he groans, only you would have a two-sided connotation. Couldn't he have one or the other? Nope. Both, because both together is going to be some hairy voodoo shit, and why all gonna accidentally kill us in our sleep. Blaze looks at him for the longest time, then says, do you even listen to the shit that comes out of your mouth? You're crazy scary, bro. And Evan replies, nope. I like being just as surprised as everyone else. And we all laughed as Eleanor mumbles, if his brain was engaged before his mouth was in gear, he'd be able to control that shit. And we laughed harder. Reading through what Eleanor had read earlier, I wonder why prophecies are always worded so obtusely, it leaves them open-ended and confusing. And I voice that thought out loud and Eleanor responds, I think they are worded the way they are because the eventual outcome can only be determined by the parties involved. The prophecies are initiated by the gods or fate, whatever, but the conclusion cannot be foreseen because human nature is unpredictable, at best. So they give us the basics, and say here, do what you do. Damn lil sis. You smart as fuck. Evan blurts. And we're laughing again. Getting back on track, we all start focusing. Evan stands up, found it. He shoots. He scores. Eleanor reads about it. The witch's triad denotes the power of the witch. Generally, an elemental can control 4 elements with an ability of casting a possibility. In the rare occurrence, the triad is inverted. The witch possesses all powers without the necessity of casting. She will have the ability of thinking a spell and it will become action if she wills it. So, what's mine? This picture shows 1 star on top and 2 on the bottom, a triangle. An inverted mark has 2 stars at the top and 1 on the bottom. We have exactly 6 days to figure this shit out and decide if we are going through with the marking. Oh no. Nothing's to figure out. We are marking and mating in 6 days. No fucking prophecy is going to change that. I love you, and we are in this together to the very end. I tell her. She climbs into my lap and wraps up into me whispering thank you. I whispered back yours is inverted. She says fuck my life. And I laugh. My dad walks in with Victoria and she speaks right away. I was going to tell you everything I know before the ceremony. Which isn't much, but I am the only one with this knowledge that I know of. My father was Adolfo Berensky, my mom was Celeste Dubois. They met, marked and mated all in the same night. My father, as I am sure you recognized his name, was the last remaining male heir to the throne. He was murdered because of it. When I was born, my mother gave me her surname. It's kept me alive. When my mother was killed by an alpha for not saving his mate during childbirth, she told me to run. And I did, and I stayed away from wolves. Until the fateful night. And when he rejected me, I walked all the way to New Orleans. It's easy to lose yourself in the French Quarter. When you were born not only with the mark of the crown but the high priestess as well. I knew we were in trouble. I have tried to make sure no one sees the mark. If Caleb has, he has never mentioned it. You and Declan are the last heirs to the crown. And I think we need to find everything about this damned prophecy. I cleared my throat and said in the illustrious words of my beautiful mate, fuck my life. So now what? What the actual fuck? I am ascending to Alpha in 6 days. Alpha. To my pack. To lead people I have loved my whole life. Now I have to be a king and leave them? And what? I can't even have my brother with me because he will have to be Alpha in my stead. This is bizarre as fuck. And as my voice has raised in volume, my mate's tears increased with every word, and like an asshole, I didn't even notice until she flew out of the room. My dad shook his head. Well, you better get your ass-kissing lips on. You're gonna need them. And Victoria said, not today. He won tea. This will be his first lesson in the silent treatment, and she has a PhD in teaching it. And they all laughed. Glad my life is so amusing. Evan stood and says, I am going to find my little sister. I will keep my link open because you need to hear how much you hurt her. But before I go, you need to pull that giant head out of your ass. That entire rant, all we heard was I.me.io because you know your life is the only one being appended. No fucking body said you have to be king. Not one person asked you to change your life or make any sacrifices. You wouldn't be without me because I am not Alpha. I am not a leader. You are. No one asked you to quit on your pack. You have not been asked to give up a goddess damn thing. You haven't even discussed any of this with your mate, and now she's goddess knows we're thinking you don't want any of this, not even her, and he punched me in the mouth and walked out. Blaze stood, walking out, and says yeah. What he said and left. And I broke. I sat and just cried. I went into a selfish rant and hurt my love. I have to fix it. I have to make her see it isn't her. It isn't even being king. It's because I'm scared. What if I'm not good enough? What if she gets hurt? What if I let her down? I couldn't live with seeing disappointment in her eyes. A small voice in my head says your link is open. And you're an idiot. But you're my idiot. I'm scared, too. You were raised your entire life to be a leader, to take care of others. I was raised to run away. To lead before you get hurt. I'm scared. Fuck. I'm terrified. And now I'm mad and no place to put my anger. Eleanor SPOV. I'm hurt. I want to be mad, but I can understand exactly how he is feeling. I've been watching Evan walk around the tree I'm in for 10 minutes. Evan, I'm up here. He looks up and holds his arms up for me to jump into. And I did. He sat down with his back against a tree and me in his lap. He says don't be too hard on him, he is scared, and he was venting. He didn't mean to upset you, sister. I replied. He meant it. I would have meant it, in his shoes. His whole life, his entire life. He has had one task. One goal. He has known from birth who he is meant to be. He is Alpha. And everyone knows Alphas live in black and white. Then, here I come, an entire prism of color that has never had a goal, a reason to exist. By all intents and purposes, my mother's rejection should have killed me. Then, he would have gotten a nice, milquetoast girl with no baggage and his life would still be on its given path. I'm fooling myself, even being here. He deserves someone with no drama. He should just reject me. This stupid prophecy ruined everything. I should just leave and go live in the kingdom. I could pretend I knew what I was doing. And order people around. Lay on a chaise lounge and eat bonbons all day. If I knew what bonbons were and where to find them. I think they must be expensive candy that only rich people can eat, and only then, if some cabana-type boy is feeding them to me. Because, apparently, when you're super rich, feeding yourself makes your food taste bad. And I laughed. Evan snorted, if you leave, I go too. And Blaze would come because he's Gamma and he takes that very seriously. I will become the royal beta and sit as your right-hand man. And we can sleep in different rooms every night. And slide down banisters and skate in the ballroom. Because who has to tell us no? You're the queen. And you can do anything. Lynn, don't leave my brother, please? It would destroy him. We can figure this out. Just don't give up on him, okay? I punched him in the mouth, you know? And now, I want bonbons. I giggled. You really punched him? I kissed his cheek and thanked him for being a great brother. I'm hungry and wanting chocolate. Maybe a Nutella peanut butter graham cracker sandwich or 10. Then, I'm going to take a shower and go to bed. Everything will look better in the morning because that's some lame shit my grandma used to say. Well, not really my grandma, probably, but someone's grandma, right? I am going to tackle those books until something makes sense. I will see you in the morning, I told him. And I left him sitting by the tree. I'm just exhausted. Overwhelmed. Upset with my mother. She may not have known about a prophecy. But she knew who her father was. And she knew what my birthmark meant. And I am pissed. I am not the person to sit quietly. And that's what I did when Declan went off. I walk into the room and am relieved he isn't in here. I grab a pair of sweats and a half tee. Walking into the bathroom, I lock the door and fill the tub. Once I get in the water and lay back, I can feel my muscles relaxing. I need this. I stayed in the tub for a half hour and just let my mind go blank. Now I'm toweled off so I can get dressed and in bed. Just no more thinking today. Please. I step out of the bathroom and Declan is sitting on the side of the bed. I walked to the other side and climbed under the covers, lying on my side facing away from him. Yes. I'm pouting. He asks, can we talk? I replied, you can talk. I will listen. And if I decide to talk, I will let you know. He mumbles, fair enough. I am so sorry. Everything came down on me and I got scared. I was selfish. I didn't see the bigger picture of we and us, and I will never be able to apologize enough. It was like being crushed. Evan lectured me. Your mom and my dad lectured me. Evan even punched me. And I deserved it. He started to cry and asked, please don't reject me. Don't leave me. I want to survive it. I need you. I love you, Lynn. I will be and do anything you need from me. Just promise me I get to keep you. I rolled over and looked at his back. His shoulders slumped and his head in his hands. He looked dejected. And sad. And I am still hurt. I spoke tomorrow morning. I am researching this prophecy until I know everything there is to learn. But in my heart I know something bad is coming. Something evil, and all wolves will suffer. Unless I can adhere as closely as possible to this fucking prophecy, and I fear the only way to do that is to re-establish the kingdom. I didn't ask for this. I have been a nobody my whole life. My mother. The only person I had, the one person I trusted, has literally lied to me my whole life. So no. You don't get to make this all about you. Or throw all the sacrifices you would make at me and then make me feel like it's my fault. We could have talked. We could have found compromise, but it was you being imposed upon, only you feeling overwhelmed. I love you. I don't want a life without you. But I'm not the one giving everything up. I'm tired, Declan. I'm not rejecting you. I will uncover everything I can about what is coming, then you will have to decide what is worth it and what isn't. He scooted onto the bed and pulled me to him. And I let him. I just want to sleep. He whispered, you are worth it. Where you go, I go. I replied, why don't you call a meeting in the morning and discuss all of this with your pack? Let them know what you're feeling going through, they might just surprise you. He leaned down and kissed my head, and that's the last thing I remember before I fell asleep. Declan SPOV. Ever feel like you have been punched in the teeth and kicked in the balls at the same time? That is me this morning. I will spend the rest of my life making this up to my love. I haven't slept. I couldn't sleep. I just laid there holding her close and watching her. All night. I have now caused myself new fear because, apparently, I don't have enough. But this new one, it is my biggest fear. My fear of her leaving me. I couldn't survive it. Lynn is back in the library determined to solve this shit. Me well. I am standing on the stage getting ready to address my pack. I look out over their expectant faces. And I pray. For strength. For guidance. I don't know, for absolution? I should be so lucky. Blue Ridge. I come before you today because I need your help. Your opinions. Your support. As you know, my ascension ceremony is in 5 days. As I have met my mate, there will be a Luna ceremony, as well. I want to tell you about your Luna. She is the mantled daughter of an alpha in Louisiana. Her mother is a witch. Our Luna is a very powerful woman. Now here is the reason for this impromptu meeting. Our Luna is the granddaughter of the late Adolfo Baransky, the last surviving male of the royal family. Meaning our Luna will be queen and I the king. We would become the royal pack. That would mean we would all have to move to the kingdom. It is not a demand. It is a request. I am allowing you to decide. If you do not wish to leave here and become a part of the royal pack, an alpha would be appointed to lead you. Be advised, my family will no longer be here. My father will become senior counsel to the royal council with Aaron as his beta. My brother Evan is my beta and Blaze my gamma. As was always planned. The ceremony is in 5 days. I will allow you 72 hours to make up your mind. There will be 2 boxes in the dining hall, one for stay and one for go. You are not being forced one way or another. And my family and I will continue to love you no matter your decision. I open the floor to questions. An older man asks, will we have the same rights there as we do here? Absolutely. A woman asks, where is the kingdom? In northern Wyoming, butted up against the Rockies. Another man, my family stand with yours, Alpha. Where you go, we go. Alpha, I believe we will have an answer tonight. Those of us that want to keep our pack together want to get home and pack. And I laughed. I told them I love you all. Meeting adjourned. My dad winks, that went better than you thought, didn't it? I nodded and ran to the library. I just need to see her. I stand in the doorway watching her. She said, come sit down. I found something. Well, Evan found something, and I think we have an idea. I went to her, lifted her, and sat down with her in my lap. She smiled at me and I want to melt. So okay, once we are marked, and then mate, we will fall into a deep sleep. For the 72 hours, in that time the strength of my mantle will split. And you will grow in size as well as strength. I will have an increase in strength, and all my powers will come in. My earth, wind, fire, and water powers will increase. I will not have to cast spells, just think it and it will happen. We will need to get to the kingdom as soon as we wake up. The world will feel our power roll. And our pack will be stronger, faster, heal almost immediately. Now this is the part one wanted you to hear. There is a great evil. Coming to destroy all wolves. Not just the kingdom this time, and the only way to do that, they have to stop us from getting to the kingdom. And I'm worried. I kissed her head, rubbing her back. I looked at my dad. Then Evan. Get the plane fueled. I want us to be wheels up by noon. We are going to open the gates of the kingdom. Right now I believe a coronation is more imperative than an ascension ceremony. Whoever this evil is must know more than we think. We can't mate and mark until Lynn's 18th birthday or her mantle is useless. These are thoughts for another day. I want 30 of our best to come with us. There is no place for speculation. We have to move fast. Once our power joins, the real fun begins. I want our best tech guys with us, too. We are going to need the moms too. I am going to address the pack again. Baby, can you pack us some warm clothes? It's going to be colder in Wyoming. I stand on the dais in the dining hall looking out over our pack, and I feel like I am rushing all of you. Threatening details have been brought to my attention, and my mate and I are leaving to reopen the kingdom today. The people who are threatening all wolves want to stop the kingdom from becoming re-established, and by doing this, as soon as possible. We want to keep them off guard. I wanted you to be aware. Alvin, a pack elder, stepped forward. Alpha? We would greatly appreciate it if you would check the boxes on the table now. Before you depart? I nodded and walked to them. Lifting the lid off the go box, it is full to the top. I grinned, opening the stay box. I find it empty. My heart swells with pride. Blue Ridge. Get to packing everything. I love you all. Eleanor and the moms are walking towards Dad and us guys. I hugged Lynn and we climbed into SUVs and headed to the airport. Lynn asks, how are we going to know where to go? I replied, GPS, baby. Then you will have to open the gates. Victoria, I am going to need you and Lynn to ward the entire property once it becomes visible. We boarded and were wheels up at 1:50, 10 minutes to spare. Lynn crawled into my lap and I wrapped my arms around her and breathed her spicy chocolate scent in. I whispered, I love you so very much. She whispered back, I love you. I'm worried. This is moving so much faster than we thought. I replied, I blame your mom for that. She was protecting you as every mother should. And she planned on telling you on your 18th birthday, she said, but she should have told you when we met. It would have been better to have had that extra time, but there's nothing to do about it now. We take it as it comes. We landed in Cheyenne and loaded up in blacked out SUVs. I linked everyone to be alert. It will be dark when we arrive and we'll have to rely on Luna to provide light. We only had about 45 minutes travel time after leaving the airfield. Lynn sat straight up in the seat and looked at me with excitement. She says, I feel it. I feel the land. Can you feel it, baby? It's like a vibration in my soul. I smiled at her. I told her I can smell it, but we probably need to be mated for me to feel what she does. I spotted the gates. They appeared to be literally set into the face of a mountain. Stopping the car, we stepped out. The excitement coming off Eleanor was infectious. We were all feeling it. She squeezes my hand and pulls me to the gate. To the side sat a flat panel with a hand carved into it. She asks, do I touch it? Do I lay my hand on it? I smile and say, lay your hand on top of the carved hand. She nods. Then she nods again and presses her hand to it. The gate groans and swing inward. Everywhere is dark. Victoria stepped up and took Eleanor's hand, then she waved her free one and the place lit up like daytime. I am speechless. There before us is an entire kingdom. A castle. A real fucking castle in the distance. A village, an entire village. And cottages, cabins, stores. And people. People are coming out of houses and staring. It's amazing. Lynn steps forward. She asks, who's in charge? Please? An older gentleman steps forward and says, we got no one to be in charge. They a couple of thugs likes to push the limits, but I ain't seeing them out here right now. Who's you? And how you get in here? She raised her voice and said proudly, I am the only grandchild of Adolfo Baransky, and every manjack of them hit their knee with their right fist over their heart. And what does my girl do? She walks to each person and hugs them. She hugs every one of them. And they wept. She looked over at us and whispers, this feels like home. I pulled her into my arms and told our group to bring the vehicles to the castle. I looked at the elder who spoke first, asking his name and was the castle staffed. He replied, yes, sire. There are 20 caretakers. My name is Raymond. I clapped him on his back and told him we are home now and things will improve. Eleanor's POV. Approaching the castle feels surreal. It's funny. Because picturing it in my head, I thought it would look like that Cinderella house in the movie. With spires and towers all sparkly in the sunlight. Yeah. No. It is huge, just kind of a rectangular looking building made of stone. I look over at Evan. I am so sliding down the banisters. Do you think there's a dungeon? Oh. I hope there's dungeons. How freaking cool would we be? And Evan laughs, yeah, I don't care about dungeons. I'm going to find me some bonbons. Then. After I get fed some of those. I will race you down the banister. I hear Blaze say to Declan, do you have any idea what the fuck they're talking about? And Declan laughs. Their brains seem to relate. I don't even question it anymore, at the risk of my own sanity, and they both laugh. Rude. Alpha Nathan stopped us before we walked in. Eleanor, you and Declan will have to begin, as you plan to continue. If you expect to be taken seriously, you will need a firm hand. I know you are both strong-willed, determined young people. You don't tolerate bullies and don't let anyone run over you. The goddess has chosen you and you are strong. Stronger than you know. Know that we are all very proud. And I threw myself into his arms, not even sure why. It just felt like such a dad thing for him to say, and that SF foreign feeling to me. Declan took my hand, reaching for the castle door. We found it locked. Locked. In a hidden kingdom. Of maybe 200 people. The door is locked. So we knocked. And waited. Nothing. We knocked again. And waited. Again, nothing. Declan looked at Evan, raising his eyebrow in question. And Evan asks, we done knocking then? And, at Declan's nod, they backed up about 30 feet. Blaze took my hand and pulled me off to the side. I asked what was happening and Blaze said Declan is out of patience, and just as the words left his mouth, the doors flew inward. They broke the doors. They literally broke the doors. And I busted out laughing. Well, fuck. When the king wants and he asks coming in. We're met in the foyer by around 30 people. All running in from different rooms. Some loudmouth on the stairs asked, who the fuck are you? I deliberately ignored him. Asking the surrounding people who is the head caretaker, head housekeeper? Who the fuck is in charge here? And, again, the thug on the stairs opens his stupid mouth. Bitch, I said who the fuck are you? You come into my home. Breaking my doors and act like you matter? I am in charge. And I grinned. Oh good. I expect the doors repaired within the hour. We are famished. And lunch should have been being prepared already. So get to that. Open this place up. I want it scrubbed, dusted, cleaned, and aired out by nightfall. Throw the bed out of the king's chambers. All linens changed and cleaned. Get to it. This place reeks of old sex and shame. And it's disgusting. He went to leap at me from the step he was on and Declan grabbed him, slamming him to the floor. He growled, I will remove your hand if you ever reach for my queen again. And everyone gasped. Declan then snarled, everyone who is considered household staff. Line up. I have half a mind to get rid of the lot of you. The rest of you. Get the fuck out of the castle. Slink off to your darkened hovel and plot the overthrow of the crown, plan the assassination of the new monarchy. Whatever you slimy, nefarious type do. But you will leave the fucking castle now. Evan starts laughing, holy fuck. That was awesome. Come on, Blaze. Let us find the dungeons, I think we're going to need them soon. And we all laughed. I looked over the 10 people who stayed behind. I am the last remaining heir to the throne. My grandfather was Adolfo Baransky. Unfortunately, we have gotten off to a bad start. I am willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. But you will have to earn my trust if you continue to work here. Where is the rest of the staff? A timid voice from the back says, in the dungeons, and I groan, you have got to be shitting me. Declan, my love, will you kindly remove your boot from Loudmouth's neck and drag him with us? We have found his new accommodations. I looked at timid voice and said, take me to the dungeons. This place may not look like Cinderella's castle, but it's way cooler. After several twists and turns, we are descending into a dank, damp area that smells like mold and filth. My mom whispers these people are going to need healing. This place screams infectious disease. I nod, knowing I am going to be changing this. Even prisoners deserve a little humanity. Until they don't. Halfway down the first corridor, we came upon 6 cells. With about 20 people locked inside, in total. Thin, filthy. Wearing rags. Some with varying degrees of injury in different stages of healing. I spoke, I am your queen and this is your king. We want you to go directly to your old chambers and bathe. My mother and I will come see you in 1 hour to heal your bodies. Until then, rest while food is arranged to be brought to your rooms. Tomorrow, we will begin meetings to chronicle your experience, so that I may punish those responsible. Evan comes running back and says we found 3 more cells with only women and they are not in good shape. Blaze is arranging to have them brought upstairs now. Declan lifted Loudmouth up by his throat and snarled, I am going to take great pleasure in making an example of you. Already an eventful morning, finally getting the poor prisoners sorted. I am standing here in the kitchens appalled at the conditions. Cursing the fact I couldn't be one of those television witches. No appliances? Wiggle my nose, and voila, new stove. Nope. This has to be done the old-fashioned way. Nathan is on the phone. Sell, because no such thing as any modern amenities here yet. Audrey has called the pack and they are loading trucks and sending as many things as she could think of. The castle is smelling better, much of the dust is cleared and the walls and floors have been scrubbed. The drapes have been taken down and beaten free of cobwebs and dirt. This is crazy. But no more than I expected. Nearly 200 years of literally living in the dark. My mother and I at least could use our magic to arrange running water and electricity. Of a sort. That will all be rectified in the days to come. We have 4 days to the full moon. Nathan doesn't he believe it is in our best interests to postpone until the next full moon, and our pack ladies said they can get it put together in time. Declan came in with the boys. All looking as tired as I feel. But he smiled. Pulling me into his arms, he nuzzled my neck, whispering, "My queen, we have rounded up another 10 thugs and locked them up. We will need to interrogate them to figure out their story. It could be they were just bored. Not really bad to the core. But I'm not willing to let them walk around causing any more problems." Nodding. I agree. But damn. Grown-ass problems. Whoever thought it was cool to be an adult was dumb. Evan comes skidding to a halt in front of us. I found a secret passageway. How fucking cool is that? Like. What if it leads to Narnia? Or Hogwarts? Well, maybe not Hogwarts, that place is scary as fuck. But someplace cool. Want to explore it with me? We could bring bread and leave a trail of crumbs so we don't get lost. I shook my head. Or we could get eaten by an evil witch in a gingerbread cottage. Either way. Not fun. But, not today. We have too much left to do, even now, before we are able to sleep. No exploring, yet. What were you doing, anyway? How did you just discover a secret passageway? He shrugs, mumbling, I may. Or may not have been looking for one. And I don't want to adult anymore today. Adulting isn't fun. And we only have 4 days before adulting is all we do. Declan and I both crack up. Declan says, it sounds like you are a little tired and hungry. Maybe go check the kitchen and see how close we are to eating. And he takes off. Content with a menial task to do. Declan's POV. 2 days. 2 days of non-stop dawn to dusk work. We finally have electricity and water in all the cabins. The kitchen is put together and our pack are training the cooks here how to use the appliances. The castle is clean and gleaming. Our new furniture is due to arrive today. Thank goddess. The mattresses in this place are impossible. Stuffed with feathers. That's it. Like sleeping on a dog bed. Which may seem ironic and a little humorous, but I only sleep in demon-esque form when we are outdoors. We found the throne room. Formal dining and ballrooms. The study. Library ADR offices. My dad found a set of rooms in the West Wing he is converting to his office and council chambers. We all know the existing werewolf council will balk when they realize the monarchy has arisen once again. We also know there is a possibility of many battles. Victoria and Lynn are both confident the wards on the kingdom will hold the 72 hours we go down. No one in or out of the kingdom until we wake. Today, we are meeting with the poor prisoners to listen to their stories. We decided to hold these meetings in the study and not the throne room yet. We will wait until after the coronation to start following all royal protocol. We opted to start from eldest to youngest. Deciding to hear them all out. Just because they had similar experiences. Doesn't mean they have the same story to tell. Our first interview is an elderly man who is literally trembling. Lynn pours a cup of tea, bringing it over to him. She sets it down on the table beside him with sugar and creamer and takes his shaking hand high. What's your name? Please don't be frightened. We only want to help. He whispers, I'm Edgar, Your Majesty. Still holding his hand, she pats it with her other. Telling him, you call us by our names, unless we are in public. I am Eleanor and my mate is Declan. Now, please relax, Edgar. And tell us your story. And she came back over to sit with me. Edgar begins. I was the butler, in charge of the running of the household. I wish I could tell you how long I was locked down there. Or when everything started falling apart. When the monarchy fell, every one of us were sealed inside the kingdom. Like a living tomb. Time didn't move inside. Every day was simply a repeat of the one before. I can't tell you when Seamus took up residence in the castle, claiming he was king. Or when he started abusing everyone. He would beat us. For things we had no control over. He couldn't enter the library, the king's offices or personal chambers. He couldn't open the throne room. Which meant he couldn't access the private vaults that hold the crown jewels. Because I was in charge of the household, he believed I should be able to help him access all these places. When I couldn't he called me a liar and would beat me. When that didn't make me comply, he would beat other members of the staff. Believing that would make me do it. What he even thought he would do with the jewels was, and still is, a mystery. Eventually, anyone who didn't move fast enough to suit him was beaten. And locked away. Several died from the severity of the injuries we sustained. The young women were used. And abused. Until he tired of them. Then they were thrown down there. It could have been days. Weeks, even years. We had no way of knowing. May I ask what you have planned for him? I fear his band of thugs will try to come after you. Or try to break him out. I smiled at him. You need not fear him. 1 week from today, we will hold a public execution. He will serve as a reminder that this is not how we act, in our kingdom. Now. If you would like, and please know, we will in no way fault you. We would like you to continue in your former role to the old regime. Take a week to recuperate and recover. Then you can resume duties and get your house in order. And he broke down in tears. I look at Lynn. The fuck did I say? She grins. Edgar stood and walked over to me. Dropping to his knees, he kissed the knuckle of my left ring finger. Thank you, Your Highness. It will be my greatest honor and privilege to serve you, and I shook my head. Yeah. We will be changing a lot of things. That ring kissing thing being top of the list. But, we thank you, Edgar. And let my mate or I know when you feel you are fully staffed once more. I will also need to speak with you further regarding Seamus Associates if that's okay. He nods and bows his way out of the study. Walking with more of a spring in his step. Eleanor starts giggling. Your face. The look on your face when he kissed her hand. Oh goddess. I wish I had a picture. I grabbed her and kissed her, telling her to shut up. The rest of the day went along the same lines. Servants. Housekeepers. Groundskeepers. Cooks and stable hands, all with roughly the same story to tell. And by the time we had spoken to the last of them, I was irate and barely restraining Demon from ripping Seamus apart. Evan and Blaze came bounding in and, if I'm honest, I needed the distraction. He was asking how many security cameras are we going to need? Wi-Fi and satellite are going in tomorrow and I want everything operational before you go into metamorphosis. I laughed. The fuck you mean? He smirks back. You're turning into a beautiful butterfly in 5 days. And I want 100% coverage of the entire kingdom while that is happening. You will be vulnerable and I am responsible for keeping you both safe. I intend doing exactly that. I have ordered 300 cameras. And installing them tomorrow. Which is why I need to know how many we should have in the castle. Eleanor jumps up. Come on. Let us take a look around. Figure out the best places are to have a better vantage point. Let us go up the towers first. I'll bet you can see to the kingdom's edges from up there. And she races out of the room. The energy of this woman. Having to admit the towers were pretty cool. And that cameras would catch a lot of movement along our borders. I left Evan and Eleanor to plan it all out. I am heading to meet with the building contractors to see how the cottages and cabins were coming along. Catching up with my father along the way, he asks, overwhelmed, yet? Because I gotta tell ya. I have been an alpha for 30 years. And these past days have me past ready to pass the torch. I find myself looking forward to simply overseeing a board of overly opinionated old wolves who have nothing better to do but throw bitch fests and drink whiskey. This is a huge undertaking. Yet, in my heart, I know you are the man for the job. The goddess chose well. I sighed. Thanks, Dad. I had my little meltdown. And I caused my mate pain. I will endeavor to never do that again, and I promised myself to remember. Everything happens for a reason. Besides, when I need help, I have you to ask. You have trained me well and I am ready. But, for those moments of doubt, I rely on you to smack some sense back into me. And we both laughed. Reaching the construction area. I really am impressed. I walked over to the general contractor and asked if he had enough materials. Enough labor, and G assured me he did. I'm still a little stressed about it. The remainder of our pack arrives tomorrow. I want everyone to be able to settle in without too much disruption. Evan links that he and Eleanor were running the borders, deciding where cameras would be best placed. He has set himself a monumental task, and I can't help but be grateful that he is taking the role of Royal Beta seriously. We certainly didn't see this as being our lives. His ascension ceremony. And Blaze S will be right after our coronation. He has scheduled a recording of the entire coronation to be released the day we wake up. We all believe there will be an influx of transfer requests once word is out. We know for a fact the Werewolf Council will make an appearance to try and refute Eleanor's claim to the crown. Little do they know we already have all the irrefutable proof they could possibly need. Finding my mom and Victoria in the main ballroom. It was amusing listening to them arguing over the placement of floral arrangements. I am doubly blessed. My beautiful maid is my greatest gift. But to have both her mother and my parents becoming such good friends is a great thing. And just to throw a wrench into their organizing, I said I really thought the standing floral arrangements looked better along the back of the stage. My mother turned with a look of horror, and Victoria hit me with a wire brush. Well, damn. Third-person POV. The day has arrived. It has been a crazy, loud, hectic day. It was just the original Kingdom and pack members, because they want to keep everything under wraps until after the fact. The role of energy that will be felt throughout the werewolf realm should remain a puzzle, for the most part. But Declan is expecting the council to know what it is. And they are expecting them to try and gain entry as early as tomorrow. That isn't going to happen, of course. And contingencies are in place to divert their attention, temporarily. Declan's temper has gotten the better of him twice. So far. They haven't allowed him near Eleanor, and Demon is feeling it. I will bite you, Declan. I want Lacey. If you don't do something, I am licking toilet seats for a week. Hairball. Mom and Victoria won't let me near her. How about you threaten to bite Mom? Huh, brave boy? Tell Mom you will bite her. See if she doesn't smack your nose with a rolled up newspaper. We are not a dog, dumbass. Newspapers don't scare us. Oh. Okay. I will be sure and let her know that little tidbit. I'm sure she'll just stop threatening us with it. Let us test that theory. Want to? You are an asshole. And you are me. Making you the asshole. You literally miss the entire point of that insult. You are the asshole. I am a wolf. And you are a wolfy asshole. Fuck. And that's how the morning was spent. As well as how Blaze ended up with a black eye. Simply because he asked if Demon was being an asshole. Eleanor was already tired. The mothers had prepped and prodded and preened until she was ready to scream. She wanted Declan. She needed her calm place. Instead, she settled for buckets of coffee and arguing about shoes. She wanted to wear sandals. Or at most, fancy flats. But the mothers told her only heels were appropriate. She wanted her hair straightened and down. But the mothers told her she needed at least a half updo to support the crown. Every suggestion she had. They had a reason it wasn't feasible. Now, she is sitting here trying to devise a plan to elope. But every scenario she runs through her brain has never heard of a coronating elopement. So, now, she was sitting in a brain-hurt situation and needing this shit to be over. The only bright spot in her day was finding out Evan and Blaze had to both swallow hers and Declan's blood to be able to have their bodies accept the added strength and growth they will experience as royals. So. That should be fun. She imagines Blaze turning green. But she knows Evan will just say fuck it and drink it down. Still going to be funny. Even Nathan has to drink their blood. Needing the added power as advisor to the king. After the coronation, it will be up to Declan who he shares his blood with. Since it will increase the strength of that person. But for right now, today. It is just the three of them who are entitled to the added strength. The power increases will allow even Blaze the strength to submit even the strongest alpha. Both she and Declan decided not to tell them about it until after the fact. Which, in turn, will be fun, too. The time has finally come. Nathan and Audrey will perform the Ascension ceremony for Alpha and Luna of Blue Ridge Pack. Then Elder Walter has agreed to read from the Book of Royals, to perform the ceremony for King and Queen. Then, Declan must perform the rituals for Senior Advisor. Beta and Gamma. Declan stands on the stage in the back garden with his parents, as he waits for his mate to appear. They will mark each other as mates in this ceremony. At the coronation, they will mark each other as wolves, allowing Lacey and Demon to come forth, while maintaining their human forms. They decided to hold off mating until after the reception, as they know they will fall unconscious for 3 days. Eleanor stands at the open doors dressed in an emerald green strapless high-low gown. Her hair half up in a messy bun, with curls framing her face. The gown is edged in silver detail. An embroidered hem in the wild passion flower motif of the Pack's emblem, while wearing Pack colors. Reaching the stage, Declan kissed her and Nathan told him that was for after the ceremony. To which he replied, bullshit. Why all are lucky the castle even still has a roof, after today. The ceremony was ending. Palms were sliced. First for Declan and Nathan to clasp hands. Next, was for Audrey and Eleanor to clasp theirs. Then, finally for Eleanor and Declan to clasp their palms together. They turned toward each other and he whispered together and she nodded as their canines pierced each other's necks. The entire pack felt the connection to their new Alpha and Luna. For an hour, the crowd enjoyed hors d'oeuvres and cocktails. Then made their way over to the temple for the coronation. Everyone eagerly anticipating whether the goddess blessed this union, or if they were impostors to the throne. Elder Walter stood at the dais. Nathan, Blaze and Evan stood to his right, awaiting Declan's entrance. When he appeared, he wore a black tuxedo, with a white shirt, red tie, and gold cummerbund. Epaulets of red and gold adorned his shoulders and a red velvet cape lined in gold hung off his left shoulder. Eleanor's gown was a red velvet edged in gold cording around a scooped, off-shoulder neckline. Long sleeves held in place by thumb holes, reaching the floor in a simple line with a solid gold chain hanging around her hips. Walter began reading the ceremony, having them each repeat their obligation and promise to the entire werewolf species and the realm. Their palms were sliced once again and this time, their fists clenched tightly over the ceremonial chalice until their blood mingled together, allowing first Evan, then Blaze, and finally Nathan to sip from. All 3 men hit their knees, bracing against the rush of power. The crown sat majestically on Declan's and Eleanor's heads, and when Walter wrapped the royal sash around their clasped hands, Mother Moon shined her light directly on it and it burst into flame, never burning them. A blessed and sacred union, ordained by the goddess herself. Lacey and Demon came forward and they marked each other a second time. And everyone felt their links connect that time, which meant every werewolf in the realm felt that connection, though not all would know why. The reception was wonderful. Everyone was laughing, reveling in the new monarchy. Evan walks over to Declan and Eleanor thought it was funny. Gives new fucking meaning to blood brother. Doesn't he it? But I reckon that makes you my actual blood sister now. Though, if I'm honest, your blood didn't taste royal at all. Actually, it tasted like shit. And what the fuck? It felt like my entire body was on fire and I was swelling. Yeah. Let us not do that again. Okay? 0 to 10. Do not recommend. They all laughed and hugged each other. Eleanor and Declan said their good nights and headed to their chambers. He slowly removed her clothing, kissing every inch of skin he exposed. They made slow passionate love for hours. He was a meticulous, thorough lover, bringing her over the edge a half-dozen times before he allowed himself to ride her final wave with her. And they felt the final piece of their souls locked together. An immense flow of energy flooded the realm. He rolled onto his back, pulling his heart and soul into his arms. They fell into a deep sleep. What no one knew, nor expected, was that Evan, Blaze, and Nathan would all go under. Their sleep as deep as the monarch's. Nothing was said in the books about it. The second day Aaron found it. The 3-day sleep will happen to anyone being accepted into the monarchy's inner circle. Although there is no documented situation of the ceremonies all happening at the same time. Audrey remarks, well, that would have been a handy bit of information to be aware of. We do not respond to any inquiries. We do not allow entry to our borders. And we certainly do not acknowledge the Werewolf Council. Not until our leaders are conscious again. And Aaron readily agreed. He asked Victoria to check the wards and make sure they are holding. Then he tripled his border patrols, as well as doubling the tech's monitoring security. Praying to the goddess it would be enough. He wasn't sure keeping his fingers crossed the next 48 hours would do the trick. Declan SPOV. Opening my eyes, the very first thing I realize my head is on our pillows, but my feet are hanging off the foot. Eleanor's tiny body beside me. Her feet stopping just below my knees, where she used to reach mid-calf. I link my mom? I don't think I have any clothes. Yeah? Join the fucking club. I am struggling to find pants for your father. And I haven't heard from Evan or Blaze yet. But I do have a tailor coming in an hour. I suggest you all meet him in your office. He's bringing some ready to wear. We may find something temporary. For now. Basketball shorts. No one wants to see the king's tallywhacker flapping in the breeze. Oh goddess. Please don't let my mother repeat those words to anyone. Eleanor stirs beside me. Opening her eyes, she smiled so beautifully. Good morning, my king. Well now. She can call me that anytime she wants. I swoop in and kiss her deeply, whispering, good morning, my beautiful queen. I get up, pulling her with me, and before I can step towards the bathroom she hollers, holy fuck. Did we end up in the land of the Jolly Green Giant? How tall are you? I laugh and say yeah. I'm not sure. But, apparently, my dad has the same issue. Have to meet the tailor shortly. We hurried through our shower and reached my office, just as the tailor was arriving. I walked in and Evan sat in a pair of cut-off sweatpants, but Blaze didn't bother cutting his, which looked like capris pants. The tailor took our measurements. My dad had increased by 3 inches in height, while Evan and Blaze were taller by 4 inches. I had grown by a half foot in height and 14 inches across my chest and shoulders. Eleanor demanded she be measured, but stomped out when she learned she is still 5'3". Muttering about walking fucking trees and a goddess-damned mountain she would have to climb just for a kiss. Quite funny. Actually. After the tailor had left us with at least jeans and t-shirts, shoes that actually fit our feet, Aaron joined us. Stepping in the door his eyes widened. Well. That was unexpected. You're going to need a larger well. Everything. But maybe start with your office? Damn. We all laughed. That the other 3 went down for 72 hours, and grew larger was a surprise. Aaron filled us in on everything that had transpired in the past 3 days. And the council has tried every day to contact the kingdom. And the wards had held. Evan recommended we all get to the training center and test our strengths. Declan, your strength is going to be off the charts. It's obvious the mantle has settled on your shoulders. From the breadth of your chest. Your neck alone is nearly 21 inches around. Fucking insane, dude. I just shrug. I don't know who I can spar with. This could be dangerous. And Blaze clapped back with let us start with 5 of our best, at once. Nodding. We walked toward the center. Dad suggested he and Aaron start making phone calls, asking when I want to set up a meeting with the current council. I reply, have you given thought to whom you want to appoint on your board? I would like to have an idea of their replacements. Eleanor was walking up, at that moment. I had a thought. There are too many PACs to support an unbiased council. What if you ran an election for each district? Say 3 representatives from the districts divide the districts by region. North, South, East and West? That would allow for 12 council members. And Dad being the tiebreaker in any given situation. Just an idea? My dad grabbed her and swung her round and round, saying, my beautiful little genius. And walked away. She looked at me and asked, what just happened? I laughed, telling her she just proved why she is my queen. Eleanor and I decide to spar together. She is like this tiny little ninja, bouncing off walls, using the ring ropes to launch herself into the air and land behind me, taking out my legs. She is fast, hard to get a hold of. And I love it. I ended up sparring 8 of our best warriors at a time, and still not one landed a blow. We are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Even more than we realized, I think. Diane walks in and the girls are hugging and spinning in circles. She has decided to move to the castle permanently when she turns 18 in a week. Her father hasn't he given up drinking. He just think he is hiding it better. It's probably going to come down to more drastic measures. But he has lost his daughter, as well as maid, and Diane may have been the only thing holding him earthbound. Sad. But it happens. Dad linked asking me to meet him in his office. So I showered and ran up there. He was standing in front of a whiteboard while Aaron read off the pack names from each area. Dad writing them in. He looked up and said there's too many for only 3 representatives. I think I want to go with 5. The prerequisite for qualifications are rank born retired at least 10 years. I want them to have been long enough away from pack politics. There is no room for partiality or biased. I have drafted the initial email and am awaiting your beta S approval of it before it is sent. The reason I asked you here. I want to keep Aaron as my right hand. In the book on the monarchy, it states I can initiate him in by sharing blood and a standard acceptance ceremony of slicing palms. Is that okay with you? I smile. Of course that's okay. Aaron has always been family, Dad. And you know that, Aaron. You've always been like an uncle to me. Aaron smiled. I told him I wouldn't accept unless he spoke with you first. I didn't know how bad Christine had fucked things up between us. I shook my head. You didn't all encourage or force Christine to do what she did. She did that all on her own. I would never hold you responsible or accountable. He stood. Pulling me into a hug, he thanked me. That girl could really have fucked some shit up. Dad's phone rang. And he answered. Senior counsel to King Declan, Nathan Sullivan speaking, and I grinned from ear to ear. That is a mouthful. His jaw clenched, putting his phone on speaker, and said, I'm sorry, Councilman Lewis, would you repeat that? On the other end, a voice sounded. I said, I don't know how you were able to trespass into the now defunct kingdom. But it is quite presumptuous of you to appoint your own son king. My dad nods. Replying, I see you are still relying on misinformation, lies and exaggerations. As usual, Phil. I didn't appoint anyone. Our goddess did. She blessed and anointed the monarchy. Watch it tonight. It will be aired across all networks at 8 p.m. The guy spoke. I don't know what game you're playing, but rest assured. The council will not recognize this false monarchy. Dad laughed. Foolish man. You have it backwards. This monarchy does not recognize your council. And he hung up the phone. Grinning at me, let the fun begin. We all laughed and I looked from Dad to Aaron. Get your ceremony done. The ceremonial knife is in the throne room. We don't know how long he will go down for. And we are going to need all hands on deck. Aaron said, can we do this now? That call is bothering me. Lewis was privy to information that isn't due to be released until tonight's telecast. And I want to find who leaked it. And fuck me if he isn't right. Motherfuck. I responded, we can eliminate anyone from the existing kingdom. They are still learning the ins and outs of modern-day living, and the odds of them knowing how to contact the council are slim to none. Aaron. Would you mind if we bring Christine in for questioning? I am not accusing her. But I worry her childish threats of making me regret turning her down may have gotten her in a little over her head. And he got pissed. He looked at Dad. Said, let us get this done. I want to get my nap over with so I can beat her immature ass all over this territory. Have the queen question her. I can't keep cleaning up her messes. This shit started in middle school and has only escalated. Dad stands and says, let us get her done. And claps Aaron on the back. Laughing. I link Evan and Eleanor, letting them know what we suspect, and having them meet me in my office, because I already told Blaze to bring Christine to my office. Eleanor's POV. I'm sitting on the alpha with Evan playing the hand-slapping game, where our palms rest against each other and we take turns trying to slap the top of their hands before they can move. First 1 to 10 wins. He's at 4 and I'm at 7. He messes up if he gets aggravated. Which is almost every time. Declan comes in pissed off to beat the band. This is going to be ugly and I'm going to love every second of it. He comes over scooping me up and breathing me in. Evan pours him a whiskey. And then sets my coffee on the desk. I blow air kisses at him and he mutters something about cooties. Asshole. In Waltz's Blaze, I am still astounded by the height of my guys. Good grief. Stupid sequoias. I smile at him. He has got such a baby face. With his dimples and ginger hair. He flips me off and I whine Damien make Blaze not be mean to me. And Blaze mutters back like you couldn't beat my ass. Crybaby. We all laugh. Well. Everyone except Christine. And then, that dumbass opens her mouth. Declan. Why have I been brought here? Is it to torture me by rubbing this thing in my face? Declan starts to speak, but I squeeze his hand. And I answer her first of all, he is Alpha King Declan to you. Speak his given name again, I will rip your tongue out. Ever call me out of my name again, you will be executed. Regardless, I am not being rubbed in anyone's face. Declan is my goddess-given mate. Not yours. And never yours. Just because you spread your legs for every Tom, Dick, and Harry you sniff. Doesn't mean they want you. Before the thought enters your mind of running to tattle to daddy about me being mean to you, you might as well know. He recommended we be the ones who talk to you. How awesome is that? You should be so proud of yourself. You pushed things so far. Your own daddy has washed his hands of you. Damn. That's like the worst kind of burn. The guys snicker and she says you didn't answer why I'm here. Like I knew you wouldn't so, of course, I'm going to think you just brought me here to hurt my feelings. I guffawed. I look at my mate. Is she serious right now? Is she on drugs? I look back at Christine. Tell me about your conversation with the council. Before you deny it. Know that you have already been thrown under the bus. Her face lost all color. She started to shake. I don't know what you're talking about. I wouldn't even know how to contact anyone from the council. I nod my head. Oh. Well, that's good. Because Evan is going to go through your phone and your laptop. Did you know that deleted emails are easily recoverable by a talented techie? Deleted text messages are the same. Hell, even I know how to retrieve deleted text messages. Cool. Right? Still going with your tale? She looks directly at Declan and asks, are you allowing her to do this because she is jealous and wants to get rid of me? And he burst out laughing. You know, deflecting, diverting. Seldom works right. I do not allow my mate to do anything. She is her own person. More importantly, she is the queen. The goddess own chosen. By going to the council. By betraying your pack, you committed treason against the crown. You realize that, right? You, Christine, are a traitor. She jumps to her feet and screamed, I didn't tell Councilman Lewis anything. You can't say I did. And everyone laughed. I remarked, fuck me. It's true, give them enough rope. And they hang themselves. Damn. Declan quietly said, sit down. Sit the fuck down. You are the only one who mentioned the councilman involved. Technically, you confessed. You will be placed in custody in your personal quarters until a decision is made. Shame on you. How dare you taint your father's good name? The shame you have brought on your poor mother. How selfish. It's beyond childishness, Christine. It's blatant criminality. You will be lucky to survive this. And what of your mate? You, as much as killed him, too. His wolf has to live without the other half of his heart. His soul. How long before he succumbs to death? She whimpers, I haven't met him yet, and Evan snaps, of course you haven't. You've been too busy trying to steal someone else's. The guards appeared at the door. Declan told them to escort her to her rooms and stand duty. And I just sit here. Blown away. I looked up and stated, we can't execute her. We can't do that to Aaron. It's not fair to him. Ultimately, it's our decision. Since we have no counsel yet. But I don't want us to decide anything until we talk to her parents. And yours. This is fucked up. And I absolutely refuse to allow our first joint decision as monarchs to be an execution. I crawl into his lap and snuggle. Needing the extra contact. He kisses my neck and whispers, I'm sorry. I should never have gotten involved with that psycho. I growled, you don't get to apologize for her brand of crazy. No one. Not one person made her do what she has done. She only has herself to blame. I am just sad for her parents. As much as I dislike my sperminator, I would never discredit him. I might kill him. But I would never humiliate him. Evan choked on his drink. Sperminator? Really? Who fucking writes your material? And the laugh we shared relieved the tension we were all feeling. I sat up. Let us all go hunting. We haven't let our wolves out to play for a while. And I kind of want to see if they're bigger, too. We all agreed to run the borders and see what game we could scare up. I stepped out between two trees. And immediately bounded for Demon. He licked our muzzle. Nudged us with his massive head and knocked me over. I huffed. And flipping my tail at him, took off at a dead run. Demon was a good 2 feet taller than her and at least a foot taller than the guys. He was an imposing beast. They ran the borders and just as they approached the east, they caught a scent of wolves. Not rogues but not quite pack. It has me curious. And I tell them let us head back. I want to check security footage. They aren't close to the border. But they are as close as 100 miles. Definitely worth checking out. Arriving back at the castle, I wait for Declan to throw his clothes on. And we run to the new monitoring center. He asks how close are they, do you think? I didn't even catch their scent until you pointed it out with your bionic sniffer. I laughed at him. He's a dork. Evan comes in and says let us start with the 2 tower cameras pointing that direction. It's dusk. And the sun is behind the mountain. So any campfire should be showing up by now. Then we can back it up and see if there's a sign. Declan's POV. We watched a slight glow in the distance. A campfire. Just sparking to life. It was difficult to count heads because they were about 150 out. I slid my eyes over to Blaze and he said already on it. Sent 8 trackers as we were coming in. We will know within 45 minutes. Declan. Evan and I? We couldn't smell them. Like, at all. I smiled it's fine, little bro. Eleanor caught the scent before me. Then I had to concentrate to pick it up. Reckon one of her gifts is super sniffer and we laughed together. Blaze struggles a little with his confidence. He shouldn't but he does. Bullied for being a ginger, he was a skinny gangly kid. Wore glasses and had braces. Until he was 12. When he got Dex at 14, that all changed. He filled out. His eyes strengthened. His red hair stayed, though. And now, he is more comfortable with it. I think Eleanor helps that. But every once in a while, his confidence falters. Eleanor kisses me. Saying she's meeting Diane downstairs, she's been anxious about getting her here. Elliot Dawson is not a nice drunk. And I know Eleanor wouldn't hesitate to kill him if he harmed Diane. Eleanor is building a family. Evan and Blaze are her brothers and no one doubts Diane is her little sister. She is 18 in 4 hours and Eleanor has arranged a little party with all of us in the study. She struggles keeping secrets. So we tried keeping them apart this week. Evan spins his chair around Declan. The trackers are at the side of the rogues. It seems they are women and children. Maybe 130 people. Maybe 18 to 20 teenage boys. I ordered a couple buses and told the guys to have the trackers hold them in place. Linking Eleanor, I let her know what was happening and she told me she'd be out front. We jumped into our trucks, with the buses following. Eleanor asked what do we know? Are they in bad shape? Hurt? Hungry? How many children? Have the trackers reported back? And I cut her off. Babe, we really know nothing else. Maybe you and the guys can play a road game? We have a nearly 2-hour ride. Evan snarks, and maybe I could be driving and you could play with your mate. I smirked and raised an eyebrow and Eleanor smacked Evan for what I was thinking, causing Blaze and I to laugh. We pulled up about 5 miles from the camp. We had to go the rest of the way on pause. There wasn't any roads. We all shifted and took off to meet up with our trackers. Eleanor shifted and dressed. Asking one of the trackers if they had established contact and was told that wasn't their orders. She turned to me and asked me to give her a few minutes. She is worried I will frighten them with my size. I gave the order to surround the camp and be ready to move if any threatening gestures were made. My fearless mate walked right up to the fire and began speaking. Do not be alarmed. I am Queen Eleanor Sullivan. I have reason to believe you are all headed to our kingdom. Please know, we mean you no harm. And are here to help you arrive safely. May I know who is in charge? Without hesitation, an elderly woman stepped forward. We deserted our pack. We have sustained abuse, terrible conditions, and many deprivations for years. We were becoming desperate. Then, the night of the full moon, the moon goddess appeared before us and told us to seek you and King Declan out. You would offer us asylum and protection. So we snuck away in the dead of night. With just what we could carry, and Eleanor pulled her into a hug. Why must she always touch complete strangers we know nothing about? She just touches. Why can't she just not touch? She tells them, let us get these fires out. We have vehicles several miles from here. Can the majority of you shift? Those of you who can't will have to ride our wolves. Let us get you home. The rest of your story can wait until then. Declan? Come forward and introduce yourself, and as soon as I stepped into their circle they all bowed. Damn. That's awkward. The ride home was productive. The elderly woman was a veritable fount of information. Her name is Gertrude. And she began speaking. We're members of Black River Pack. I'm not sure if you're familiar. The alpha there. Julian Montgomery has gradually slipped into madness. He uses and abuses the she-wolves in the pack. Badly. And frequently. He has now decided someone stole the alpha mantle from his bloodline and his son will not be a strong enough alpha. Our elders tried telling him a mantle cannot be stolen from a bloodline and to give it time. The mantle still may settle. And he killed them all. All 11 of them. One of them was my mate. When the goddess appeared to us, it felt like answered prayers. We have gone hungry too long. Have forgotten what it's like to be warm. Some of us have lost children due to the extreme conditions. We had made up our minds we were leaving regardless. The goddess simply pointed us in a direction. Eleanor covered her with a blanket, telling her to nap until we arrived. She looked at me so. I have to be honest. His journey into madness seems to have started when he realized the goddess had paired him with a witch. He has progressed to batshit crazy, now. I am certain after the video of our marking and coronation is shown in an hour itself going to drive him straight into insanity. And he is going to gather his allies planning on marching on royal lands. Not that I fear we will lose, what I fear is killing my mom's true mate. What will happen to her? I am truly worried about that. I reached over and took her hand in mine here as I thought. What if we speak to your mom? And convince her to reject him? He rejected her. But she didn't accept it. She didn't reject him back. She nodded. It's worth a shot. We stopped at a burger place and fed everyone. These poor people were really hungry. And I feel an anger so fierce building in my belly. Our people are suffering from corrupt leadership. Poor pack management. Their lack of care is rapidly becoming the priority. I make a mental note to approach Dad and Aaron about this. Getting everyone settled. Warm and fed, we finally relaxed to watch the televised version of our coronation. Then we would have Diane's little party. Some days, we seemed to find anything to do. Then other days, we seemed to struggle through a whole week crammed into 24 hours. I hadn't realized how dramatic our coronation actually was. Eleanor was stunning. And having a video of the entire night is priceless. After it ended, we all realized it's on now. Our defenses will need to stay on point. Training is going to step up. Eleanor is even talking about making it mandatory women take some sort of training. Dad linked letting me know Aaron was sleeping and his maid is saying he is getting bigger. Then he laughed, saying the perks of being associated with the king were awesome. Awesome. I laughed and told him still trying to be the cool dad. Although I know he doesn't try. He is just cool. Catching up to Eleanor, I helped her finish up everything for Diane's party. I love the little things she goes out of her way to do for others. Victoria was telling us about her day. She is so busy training the new healers. It will be so beneficial for us in the long run. But it's a lot of work for her. My mom is sitting with her and I love how close they're becoming. Eleanor yells, "Be quiet." And we wait for the door to open to reveal Diane yelling surprise only to watch her run back out, with Eleanor going after her. She may be shy but she is entertaining and everyone laughed. She walks back through the door following Eleanor and stops talking. Blaze is moving at the speed of light and pulls her into his arms. We hear him say, "I waited a lifetime for you." And then to us the party was lovely. But it's late and we really must go. I'm sure you understand. Then he whisked her out the door before we had a chance to say anything. We all laughed, but yeah. We do understand. The day dawned chilly. Declan and Eleanor had slept in past 9, and were now rushing to get to a meeting with Nathan and Evan. Eleanor threw on light blue sweater tights and a long-sleeve navy and light blue wool dress, slipping into black suede ankle boots, and simply braided her hair over her shoulder. Declan pulled her close to him and kissed her deeply. "You are more beautiful every day." As they grabbed a quick breakfast, they noticed the women and children from Black River eating and laughing. Getting acquainted with the pack, Eleanor stood and addressed them. "There will be a meeting in the throne room after breakfast. Please bring your children with you. The swearing-in ceremony will occur once we have all your necessary information." Walking in, they were surprised to see Aaron standing there with Nathan. Though it was a great surprise. He was larger by several inches, but he looked haggard, tired. He stepped forward. "Your Majesties, I throw myself at your feet begging for mercy. I understand my daughter's betrayal must be dealt with harshly. I only ask you spare her life." Declan hugged him and Eleanor took his hand. "We are not going to execute your daughter. We have decided she will be given a lot of menial chores to do. She will be working in the kitchens. The laundry room. She will aid in all things household. And she will be monitored at all times. No access whatsoever to telephones or electronics. We are stipulating this to begin immediately and to be revisited in 6 months. We are also going to have to monitor your mate, unfortunately, Aaron. She has a tendency to give in to anything Christine asks. Which probably has a lot to do with her selfish behavior." Aaron nods. "That has been a point of contention since Christine reached puberty. Now, it is always a full-blown fight every day. To be honest, now that the monarchy has been re-established, I have been tempted to ask you to absolve me of my mate bond." Eleanor looks at Declan. "We can do that." And he nods. "I have been reading about it in the Book of Ceremonies." And she squealed, "That's it. That's how we help my mama." Evan had his laptop ready to input the information from the Black River pack. They all had similar stories. Only slight variations. One young woman referred to the entire pack as Hades' playground, and they all noticed the bitterness in her tone. Eleanor walked over to her and hugged her, whispering something. And the entire room felt the atmosphere in the room lighten. The teenage boys requested joining military training, and Declan told them, "You can train 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. The interim of time, you will attend school. If your grades are not on par with above average levels, we will re-evaluate your training schedule. Everyone attends school until 18. Or you graduate. Ladies, there are plenty of employment opportunities and more on the way as we build more businesses. Check the daily information board in the comments to see if anything catches your interest. Everyone works and everyone draws a paycheck. We believe in self-sufficiency." After everyone was sworn in and sent on their way, Nathan asked Declan and Eleanor to sit. He began. "After last night's airing of the coronation, responses poured in. We are at about 50% in acceptance. Even though the moon goddess's blessing was obvious. Most of the resistance, of course, stems from alphas who support the existing council, or the packs the actual council members hail from. I am wondering how we should proceed. There are several approaches. Aaron sent the emails out this morning. As to how the new council will be elected. And that will go a long way in reassuring the realm that we don't want dichotomy in regard to governing practices. Also, open for discussion, I would like to see an alpha appointed as a governor of sorts. For each district. The king cannot possibly settle all disputes. Everywhere. Having a strong leader. And appointing the most moral alpha in the area to be in charge of that region may cause an issue. But, if we can locate retired alphas, with good track records in being fair and just leaders, and set them up on neutral territory, building a small community for him to hire only people he can trust and provide plenty of security, he could handle most disputes, only requiring the monarch's input for impending wars. He would have to report to us quarterly. And auditing would be a necessity." Declan looked at his mate. Back at his father, smiling. "I knew you would be the best person to advise us. Everything you have just suggested is above par. Boldly pushing positive reinforcement to our wolves." Evan drafted a speech in regard to this. "I want to review the reputations of every retired alpha from every region. Even the smaller packs. Being bigger isn't always better. A stellar reputation isn't solely isolated to the amount of people you managed. It's the method of that management. Aaron, can you begin the vetting process for us? And narrow it down somewhat. I fear the numbers are going to be astronomical. And everyone laughed. Nathan looked up from his own laptop. Well, we may as well get some practice rolling heads. There are 5 council members at the front gate, requesting audience. Let the games begin. Monarchs, please take your thrones. And again, we all laugh. Aaron stood and opened the double doors, allowing 6 huge royal elite guards, and they walked directly behind the thrones and stood at ease. Looking like an entire forest. The gentlemen were led in, and shown to a table set up especially for them. They were offered drinks and snacks. Declan spoke with authority. Gentlemen, please note we are allowing this audience out of courtesy. We understand these are upsetting times for you, however, trust and believe that times are indeed changing. The goddess' doctrines are coming back. In full force. With mandatory acquiescence. These are her edicts. Not mere mortals. Now, the floor is yours. Remain respectful and there should be no problem. Elder Lewis was the first to speak. We have all agreed to refuse to recognize any authority you believe you may have. The moon goddess hasn't reached out to any of her wolves in decades, centuries, even. Why now? And why you? Eleanor spoke up. The goddess reached out to us because I carry the mark of the prophecy. And while I could prove it to you, I find no need for it. My mate was chosen because he is the strongest male in the world. Able to protect us against all enemies. To question that is to question Celine herself. Not a smart move, at your age. But I won. Judge. A second councilman chimed in. I am Councilman Andrews. While you may believe you have a right to the throne, it is obvious had the goddess chosen anyone, it should have been someone more mature. Someone with experience. Not children. Like Phil said, we do not recognize this false monarchy. We will not support this regime. Declan chuckles. Oh, you're under the impression your opinion matters? Allow me to clarify. We do not require your permission. We are not requesting your support. We are demanding you relinquish your position. We will abolish the current council. As such, consider yourself on 48-hour notice. Failure to comply will result in your incarceration. Resistance will result in your deaths. There is no room for argument. There is no need for rebuttal. My advisors have already discussed it. Our decision has been made. Unfortunately, by coming here and believing you had any right to demand, you negated my willingness to compromise. This meeting is adjourned. I suggest you go home and make your arrangements, gentlemen. The guards escorted them out and Declan asked Evan. Are their offices being raided? Computers and files seized? Evan laughs. Oh yeah. As soon as they sat down, council headquarters was under our control. Communication was terminated first. All personnel placed under temporary custody and everything confiscated. Their people have been released, but the former council for all intents and purposes is dissolved. Eleanor starts laughing down. They are about to have a very bad day. We have to move fast now. The half that thought to stand by the old ways have no governing faction at the moment. We cannot allow them to fall into chaos. And Nathan spoke. We are already on at Luna Queen. Emails went out to every alpha at exactly the precise moment this meeting adjourned. Declan. A press conference is set to begin as soon as you allow them to set up. Evan, have you drafted the speech? Evan followed with I have the rough draft. Which hits the highlights, but our king always seems most effective when he speaks right off the cuff. We are good to go at his nod. And Declan laughs. Well fuck. Let us do this thing. And Eleanor says I need more coffee for this shit. Everyone. Even the guards. Laugh at the queen. Declan SPOV. Eleanor and I ran to our room to change into more stately clothing. She slipped into a ruby red dress. High-collared, with long fitted sleeves. Knee-length, nude tights and matching red heels. I chose a ruby and diamond tiara to adorn her beautiful curls. I wore a black suit. With a red shirt, I paired it with a gold tie. We chose a smaller solid gold crown, encrusted with diamonds and rubies to match her tiara. Deciding we looked, every inch, the majestic duo we are supposed to embody. We walked back inside the throne room, to discover half the pack were brought in. For the sake of the cameras. Showing a unified front to the rest of the realm. A long table set in front of throne chairs. To my left Dad sat with Aaron and next to Eleanor sat Evan with Blaze next to him. forcing him out of his little cocoon of love, and he didn't look happy about it. We both Saturday. And we turned on our tablets so I could read what Evan wanted me to address, and almost immediately, a cup of coffee was placed in front of my mate. The entire assembly chuckled, knowing her infinite need to be caffeinated. It has become a standing joke in the kingdom. She just smiled brilliantly, and thanked the guard. I noticed the red lights on the camera started blinking, and the cameraman held fingers up, indicating the countdown. He pointed at me and I looked directly into the camera in front of us. My fellow alphas. Wolves throughout the realm, I come to you today a grateful man. To those of you who are rallying around us, we thank you. We are standing on the precipice of the greatness our kingdom will become. With our goddess's blessings, we have been appointed to reopen the kingdom. To bring the doctrines and teachings of Selene to the forefront, once again. It was time. And it was necessary. Wolves are succumbing to the greed and avarice that has prevailed for too long in our species. We want you to understand. While this is a monarchy, it is not a dictatorship. We will not rule absolutely. The realm will be divided into 4 separate sections, with elected governorships for each sector. A total of 4 retired alphas will be reviewed and vetted on 4 key components: loyalty, dedication to our species, fairness, and compassion. Of these 4, each division will be allowed to vote on whomever they feel most capable. Every wolf, 18 years and older, will be required to register to vote, regardless of rank or specificity. Hybrids are also required to register. You all have a voice. You all have the right to be heard. The retired alpha with the highest amount of votes will be elected to the governorship of his or her district. That governor will then appoint their own cabinet of advisors. Any and all disputes will be settled within each sector. Only the most major offenses will be brought to the attention of the monarchy. Understand that any rebellion will be squelched immediately by royal decree. These governorships will be audited, at random, as well as quarterly. Power can be a dangerous thing. We will have a system in place of checks and balances to ascertain the goddess's doctrines are being followed, taught in our schools, preached in our temples. Everyone is to be treated fairly, justly. Executions will only be carried out after a trial where all evidence is presented and guilt proven. No longer are we a society of brutality and criminal offenses. Rogues will be given a voice. Only the most feral will be put down without benefit of representation. Times are changing, my people. All of you will be listened to. Everyone will be heard. All ranked members of every pack in each separate sector will vote on the candidates for royal council that have been carefully vetted and selected by the senior royal advisor to the king. We suggest you read each candidate's qualifications before your decision is made. These people will be your sector's voice in the royal capital. This vote takes place 1 week from today. The candidates will be visiting each pack in the interim. As was stated earlier, any rebellion will be put down immediately, with great force, when necessary. The cliché absolute power corrupts absolutely has never been truer than it is today, in our current society. And that absolute power has come to an end. Now, I ask you to bear with us just a bit longer. As my mate, your Luna Queen has asked to be heard. I ask you to pay close attention as hers is an interesting story. The camera pans to Eleanor's face and she smiles into the camera. I wish to fully introduce myself. My king is already known to many of you, while I am essentially unknown. There is a reason for that. You see, had you known of my existence, I would have been murdered in infancy. My mother is the only surviving child of Adolfo Baransky. Her mother was Celeste Dubois. And my mother's name is Victoria Dubois, excommunicated high priestess of the Dubois coven. Because you see, her mate is a werewolf like her father was. My mother is considered a hybrid. However, her wolf never manifested. She is a null and therefore, incapable of ruling wolves. I told you that. To tell you this, my father is the alpha of Black River Pack, Julian Montgomery. I am his mantled heir. He did not know of my existence because you see, after he mated my mother, he rejected her. Not having a wolf and being a witch, he either felt she was not good enough, inferior in some way, or simply because of his hatred and prejudice of witches. Regardless, his reasoning My mother felt he lost all rights to knowledge of my existence. He only realized there must have been a resulted progeny from his one night with his true mate when his chosen delivered him a male heir with no mantle. He then began to recruit alphas from other packs to hunt me down, auctioning me off to the highest bidder, all the while having no intention of allowing any of them to force mate me. His aim was to murder me. In losing our way, and the doctrines of our goddess falling by the wayside, he failed to realize the alpha mantle would not transfer to my half-brother. It would die with me. He would have lost it all regardless. You have questioned the validity of our claim to the throne. Non-believers have decided to rebel. The doubters will be reassured that we are the goddess's chosen. Even though I am a hybrid. I am a high-born hybrid from both my parents. Camera, please pan in closely. Can you all see this mark? A crescent moon with an inverted triad of stars. When the goddess wants or needs to relay a message, my mark will spark and glow. My mate and I are goddess blessed. We have been anointed by her grace and we will follow her words to the letter. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Please realize and remember we are steadfast in our resolve. Any rebellion will be stopped at its inception. The camera pans back to me, so now you know. We did not come into this ill-prepared. We are not dancing blindly in the dark. This regime operates on the edicts of the moon goddess. Right is our might. We only want what is best for our realm. And our species. Selene has appointed us her guardians of her favorite creations. We will prevail. Thank you for your time. The entire room erupted into roaring applause and cheers. Nathan was grinning ear to ear. Victoria, Mom and Diane sat in the back in tears. I feel pretty good about our speeches. We touched on everything we need our people to know. To be aware of. They have been informed and warned. Evan said emails are blowing up Declan. Nearly 3,000 on the royal server alone. Nathan. Yours? Dad nods, almost to 5K. And rising. Come on, Aaron. Let us get the legal team on response. We all moved to our offices so we could let our people know we are serious about hearing them. I want them to always see us as approachable. People are migrating to the borders of the kingdom. The packless. The persecuted. The ones needing to feel connected to the goddess again. Holding centers had to be erected to accommodate the influx. Backgrounds were being run. Histories vetted. Entire families, sometimes 2 and 3 generations, arrive requesting asylum. Eleanor has demanded no one be turned away, unless it is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, their intentions are detrimental to the crown. The kingdom has increased by 2004 days. The day of the first elections is rapidly approaching. Each sector has identified their favorites and Nathan seems relatively happy with all the choices. He has reservations about a couple, but he refers to them as the necessities to adversity. Aaron just responds with yeah. And I will just kill them if they cause severe problems. Declan cracked up while I wholeheartedly agree with the sentiment. As king, I can't condone it, while Evan suggests a blind eye is perfectly acceptable in some circumstances. Popularity ratings for the king and queen are through the roof in favor of the monarchy. And as of right now, the royal inner circle are boarding a plane to travel to each sector. They will be making public appearances at all the chosen sector capitals that have been constructed on neutral territories. In theory, this allows Declan's "we are approachable" concept to be put into practice. At the first stop, in the northern sector, the new capital has been named Northern Crescent. In honor of the Queen's goddess mark. The royal pair approached the podium. Their team following. Once Declan stepped to the podium, Eleanor placed shields around them, to thwart any assassination attempts. Questions were fired at the king, in rapid succession, and he responded in kind. The crowd seemed appeased. Satisfied with the way the monarchy are availing themselves, until out of the tree 5 shots were fired. One after the other. Each aimed at the heads of everyone on the dais. Luckily, with her improved and incomparable hearing, Eleanor knew the rounds were coming. Relying on the shield, she froze the rounds mid-flight, reversing them and sending them back from whence they came. Striking each would-be assassin high in their right shoulders, allowing the silver to burn through. Each were apprehended by the royal elites and treated for silver poisoning. Declan spoke into the microphone. Directly to each person attending, and that, my wolves, is what we mean by squelching. Immediately and irrevocably, any and all rebellions. Spread the word. And they were immediately removed from the area and back on the plane. Heading to the next sector. Blaze laughed, "Holy fuck." I watched the faces of the crowd. They were awestruck. When those bullets reversed and hit the shooters, I almost shit my own pants. "Now. I want a show with every stop, Lynn." She laughed. "It's going to take a few more such attempts until they launch a full-scale battle. The corrupt alphas refuse to believe they will lose. They still think they have a chance. And speaking of which, I believe we will face an even more aggressive attack in the south, quite possibly the east as well. My father is crazy enough to still believe he can retrieve the mantle, refusing to admit it has split already. And Alpha Nicholas in the east is simply an arrogant moron, wanting what he can't have." Nathan looks up from his laptop. "Why, I'll have to see this," plugging his laptop into the big screen TV. A reporter was saying Alpha King Declan braved hordes of people today to answer questions in the new northern capital this morning, only to face an attempt on his and Luna Queen Eleanor's lives. As you can see by this footage, it failed. And the rebellion will have to be more resourceful, if they have any hope at success. Evan remarks, "Am I the only one? Or did that feel like a subliminal message to the rebels? Is that the way they are openly communicating? Calling their associates to arms?" Blaze vet that reporter. "While I finish running the names of our shooters. I'm not comfortable with our next stops. Only having the 10 elites. Sister, can you maintain the shield the entire time without tiring yourself out?" She shrugged. "I can. But I will deplete my ability to pull off another stunt like I did with the 5 rounds. There is a possibility they want to utilize that same tactic again. But, do we risk it?" Nathan says, "Don't crucify me before you hear me out. We are going into this without being fully protected. We should all be wearing Kevlar. And instead of holding the shield, daughter, concentrate on the flying projectiles. But and here is where I don't want one of Wyal to kill me. What if one of us takes a hit? It would allow the rebels false hope, thinking they do have a chance, hoping for a win on their part. I believe it would instill enough enthusiasm and confidence that they will want to make a move, expecting us to play mostly defense, when in reality, our offense will be already moving into position." Eleanor says that could work. "Now, it's my turn to be heard. When we land in the Western District, we have Kevlar body armor ordered and delivered to the tarmac. We stop any attack from that sector. And instead of heading south, as planned, we change our plans and go east. That will force them to change their attempt, which generally causes carelessness. Meaning I can drop the shield while changing the trajectory of any rounds fired to hit whichever one of us in the armor. Faking a more serious injury." Blaze pops in. The crowd will expect blood. Without a real injury, their confidence will wane. Declan smirks. "Magic is more illusion than most of us realize. Baby. You can make it look like the victim is bleeding out. Right?" And she nods, grinning. Arriving in the west, there were enough vests for everyone, including the guard. Only this time, the elites deplaned fully geared. Handguns, knives and bulletproof shields. They want to appear they are taking every precaution available. Setting the stage. The same scenario. A Q&A session. Declan gave a small speech, thanking everyone for showing support and being open to change. Eleanor listening for changes in the air, opening her senses for changes in scents. Then she heard it. The distinctive sound of 3 arrows leading their bowstrings. Realizing they came from the trees, she summoned the wind, lifting the arrows high in the air and requesting the earth to shake the tree line. 3 archers hit the ground and were immediately subdued. Stepping to the podium that s twice. "We have committed ourselves to visiting each new capital. The rebels are either getting braver, or they are getting desperate. So far 8 have been apprehended. 8 are headed back to capital city in the kingdom. All 8 are facing execution for treason. How many more will fall before the tour is over?" And she stepped back beside her husband to be ushered to their vehicles. Arriving in the east, with their plan intact. The tarmac was only a few miles away from the new sector capital, so their travel time was short. Approaching the stage, Eleanor realized she was right. They are scrambling and this attempt would be blatant. Within 15 minutes of the beginning of the meeting, again, 5 shots were fired. instead of freezing the rounds. She slowed them down, to judge trajectory. The marksmen this time were more accurate, denoting possible military training. They were further out. Probably 400 yards, and she already had guards in place to apprehend. She adjusted the bullets to miss everyone, except Declan. Allowing the round to hit him center mass, it appeared he exploded into a massive chest wound, and they were rushed immediately to the plane. Once on board, they all collapsed laughing. They were wheels up and flight bound in less than 10 minutes. Declan said 13 rebels to execute in under 4 hours. Not bad for a day in the life of a king. Causing them all to roar with laughter. Eleanor responds, this will bolster Julian's and Nicholas' confidence. We're going to see movement from them soon. Nathan plugged in the laptop saying, Evan, I believe the subliminal have graduated to the overt. Watch. And the reporter is saying a blow was struck by the rebellion. It's time everyone realizes the new regime is not as goddess ordained as we would have everyone believe. Losing a king so soon in this new monarchy signifies the weakness of his reign. As the camera pans to Declan being shot. Blaze croaks, fuck me. That looks real. Declan turns to Aaron, are we set up to broadcast? At his nod, Declan loosens his tie and rolls his shirt sleeves up. Facing the webcam he speaks, my fellow wolves. 3 times today 3 attempts were made to take my life. As you can see, reports of my death are greatly exaggerated. The reporters covering today's events are being detained. And will be brought in for questioning. Their coverage of today's meetings was definitely not unbiased. Nor was their call to arms covert enough to go undetected. Did I not say rebellion would be dealt with immediately? Did you not listen? You want war? You have war. All I can say to you now is bring it. And may Goddess have mercy on your wolves, because I will not. Declan SPOV. Victoria met us as soon as we walked into the castle. Break my bond. Please. He somehow found my phone number and called me, threatening to force me to watch him murder my daughter. What kind of man does that? Eleanor pulled her close and held her as she whispered, let us go to the back garden. We haven't done this yet. But according to what we've read, we have to be where the goddess can see you. He will feel the bond snap. It may cause his wolf to go feral. But we will deal with that as we need to. We stand in the garden. I interlaced my fingers with Eleanor and we each take one of Victoria's hands. Eleanor whispers, a sacred bond. Once refused, rejection accepted by one. A sacred love. Forever abused. Granted by fate, can't be undone. Victoria fell to her knees and gasped for breath. Then she started to laugh. Eleanor and I looked at each other in confusion until she spoke, I feel lighter. A happiness I had forgotten. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goddess. I feel alive. And she danced away. Laughing. Stopping to kiss Dad and Aaron on their cheeks. And Eleanor and I can only laugh. Dad asks, what has her that happy? And Eleanor responds, she finally requested we break her mate bond. And that was the result. She said she feels lighter. Happy again. Who knew? Right? And I notice Aaron rubbing his cheek and staring after Victoria. I said Montgomery may go feral. Reports indicated he has been battling his wolf since he rejected Victoria, and this may send him over the edge. I want eyes on him 24/7. We already know he abuses the pack. I am concerned how unstable he may become. The last 2 days have passed relatively uneventful. I fear the calm before the storm. The election results have been trickling in. Dad and Aaron have stayed busy overseeing the completion of the new council members' housing, preparing for their arrivals tomorrow. So far, Dad is happy with the electees. As am I. It feels like we will have a wonderfully eclectic mix of opinions and capabilities. And I am still convinced this is the best way for the masses to feel comfortable with the new regime, knowing they've had a say-so in their leaders. The rebels are amassing, and we have an idea which direction they will be attacking from. I regret they still feel the necessity of this stand. At this point, I fear their followers are no longer sure what their main objective is. To fight without a cause is to die. They have to know they are seriously outnumbered and massively undertrained. Regardless, while I may regret the fight, I will not allow our people come to harm by a mass of misguided wolves. Aaron comes into the study whispering to me, Declan, May I have a moment in private? I stand and have him follow me to my office, linking Lynn to meet us. Once we are all seated, I pour whiskeys for us, and ask what I can do for him. He swallows back the entire drink and grimaces. Sarah and I have decided to break our bond. It is tenuous, at best. Has been deteriorating for over a decade. Mostly due to our inability to agree on how Christine should have been raised. Sarah has encouraged our daughter to reach further than the goddess intended, advising her to never settle as she did, when there could be a much better chosen mate for her instead of the one the goddess intended. Eleanor growls out, "That explains a lot." Aaron nods. And I tell him to have Sarah join us in the back garden. I link Dad to be alert. Aaron may need him. And explain the situation. Standing in the garden, I ask Sarah, "Are you certain this is what you want? Because you are the one not wanting to be with your fated mate. The goddess may not grant you a second chance." She stares at Aaron for a hard minute. "I thought you would just say we mutually agreed. You couldn't even do this right." "Well. Yes, Declan. I am certain. And I am certain the goddess will see what a mistake she made in the first place." I shrug. We all join hands and I repeat the words to undo the bond. Sarah hit her knees, wailing in pain, while Aaron just stood there, looking at her. Finally, he spoke. "H&H. That's it?" My chest feels lighter. Other than that, I feel nothing. No loss. No pain. Just a lightness. Well, I'm joining Nathan for another whiskey and the last of the results, leaving Eleanor and I in the gardens wondering what the fuck just happened. Then we broke out laughing and she says, "That was just fucked up." I simply scooped her up and ran to our room, laughing the whole way. Making love with my mate is like rediscovering the meaning of life. Each time. Her body is so responsive, so in tune with mine. It's difficult to tell where she ends and I begin. For hours, we teased, kissed, tasted and loved each other. It got hot and heavy. Our breathing quickened. As I looked up into her face, Lacey was shining in her eyes and Demon rushed to the forefront before I could even think to pull him back. Our pace increased. He became aggressive and before either of us realized it, he pushed his knot inside of her, locking the four of us together as he came. Locked inside of her, we fell into an exhausted sleep. The sun was cresting the horizon, directly into my eyes. I looked down at my adorable, tiny mate snuggled into my side, her head resting on my shoulder and her nose buried in my neck. I take a moment to ask Demon Dude, "What the fuck? You are too tame." I wanted my time, too. Lacey called me and I wasn't saying no. We could have hurt them. We didn't know what we were doing. You didn't know. Me, on the other hand, was fully aware. And you're welcome. Asshole. What if she didn't like it? Leaving me to do to be apologies. As usual? I'm not apologizing. I'm not sorry. And neither is Lacey. She my mate. She called for me and I wasn't not answering her call. Again. You're welcome. You better pray I get to keep my dick. I may be pissed if I have to walk around dickless because you hurt them. You asshole. And I hear Eleanor groan, "Will you two stop arguing so fucking loud?" Yes. I am very sore and sticky. And stiff apparently, covered in cum. But Lacey is happy. She said it's her fault. But she's not sorry either. "Now, I like your cock too much to rip it off. But you can carry me to the bathroom and help me clean up." And I busted out laughing, realizing Lacey must have heard Demoness and my whole conversation. "By all means, Your Highness. Since my dick has escaped serious harm, your wish is my command." And she giggled, a sound that always soothes my soul. Eleanor's POV. I waltzed into the dining hall at the moment Diane and Blaze were walking in. She squealed and hugged me. "I have missed you. Blaze and I have been so busy answering emails and spending new mate time together. Kind of thing, it feels like I have hardly seen you." I laughed and told her she could help me and the moms today. We have to arrange tonight's dinner party menu to welcome all the new council members. A meet and greet sort of thing. I sat with Audrey and Mom, talking about it. Audrey said, "As soon as I'm done eating, I will grab a few housekeepers and get the formal dining room cleaned and decorated." Are we going with the royal colors? Or something less stately? I thought about that for a few minutes. You know what? I would prefer to use the royal colors for affairs of state. And royal parties. I think for tonight's dinner, something elegant. Understated. What about medium blue? Aquamarine. And silver? With bluebells and lilies of the valley? Candlelight centerpieces of the flowers and variegated ivy? Elegant. But not intimidating? She beams at me telling me I'm a natural. A natural what? I'm not entirely sure. And frankly, I'm afraid to ask. Turning to Mom and Diane for the menu, I want a simple fare. Pleasing to the eye and easy on the palate. I haven't tea met these people. And I don't want anyone needing an epinephrine shot to get through dinner. They all laugh. Like poisoning all these strangers isn't a real danger. Have they even met me? I'm thinking braised whole rotisserie chickens. Oven roasted garlic breaded potatoes, grilled asparagus. As the entrees. Fresh Cobb salad and French onion soup as appetizers, and chocolate lava cake with melted salted caramel centers for dessert. Any suggestions to alter it are welcome. Enthusiastically. Diane smirks. I damned sure don't want any substitutions. I'm drooling already. Mom, can you send down to the wine cellars? Choose a nice Sauvignon Blanc or Chardonnay to go with the chicken? Maybe a Banyuls for dessert? I want it to go well. But I don't want it to seem pretentious. I'm nervous. We are young and I would prefer not to come across presumptuous. Mom had been listening and taking notes. She looks up at me, my darling daughter. The last thing anyone would accuse you of is putting on airs. Your entire demeanor speaks to humility and sincerity. Yes. You are sassy. Have a mouth that could embarrass a sailor. But your heart is solid gold and it shines through for everyone to see. I will go to the cellars myself and choose the wines. I let loose a loud squeal and hug her to me tightly. I love you so much. I have the absolute best team in the world. I honestly mean that. I hope all three of you know that I know. I could not do any of this without you. Diane. Could you run down to the kitchen real quick and add coffee to the beverage cart we requested? I don't want to send another whole email with just coffee on it. And we all laughed as she scooted out, heading to the kitchen. Mom asks if I had asked for any kid-friendly beverages, in case anyone had children to bring. And, well, fuck. I jumped up to follow Diane to the kitchen. As I reached the doors to the kitchen, I hear, keep whimpering, you ugly bitch. If you tell anyone it was me, I will break your other arm. Stepping through the doors, I see Diane on the floor, curled up and cradling her arm, and Christine's leg drawn back, ready to kick her again. I link the guys to get their asses to the kitchen now. I grab Christine by the hair of her head and slam her face through the wallops. And pulling back, I spun her and slammed her forehead into the kitchen counter. I yanked her head back by her hair and side-hipped her to the floor. Before I could stomp on her chest, the strong arms of my mate pulled me to him, whispering, don't kill her yet, Kuor Mio. We need the story. Your mom may need help. With Diane kneeling on the floor, I pulled my little sister into my lap and started healing her. Her humerus was broken in 2 places. 3 ribs were fractured, and I felt the bruise in her left kidney as I pulled it from her. The tears flowed down my face. Pacing her own. I want to kill that bitch. Screaming in the link for Aaron and Sarah to meet me in Declan's office immediately. I turned to Evan, drag that whore to the office. Blaze, take Diane to your rooms and run a warm bath with peppermint oil to aid in any latent aches, then stay while she rests. Link us with her version of whatever the fuck this was. Declan lifted me, wrapping my legs around his waist. He pushes my nose into his neck as he walks us to the office. He knows I need to calm down. I knew I needed to calm down. The air outside felt like a hurricane was ready to blow any moment. How many chances are we going to give this pit viper? She destroys everything she touches. Linny? How is she? What happened? She's resting. Christine accused her of using our mate bond to keep Declan away from her. Told her if she didn't help her get him alone. And help her drug him to set it up for you to catch them together, she would keep abusing her. Lynn. This isn't the first time. It's happened several times before, and it feels to me like Christine is slipping slowly into insanity. You need to find out what's happening with her, Wolf. Okay, brother. You take care of my little sister. We will keep you updated. I sit here, staring at Christine. Then I look at Sarah. Why don't you tell me what's going on with your daughter? You are with her every day. When did she start slipping into insanity? When did her wolf go into regression? And no. Do not deny it. I can see Charlotte. She is hiding deep in the recesses of Christine's mind. She has literally forced her poor wolf into darkness. And I see you are doing the same to yours. Do you both wish you were human? Because I can help you with that. Right here. Right now. Start talking. And I expect to hear the whole truth from both of you today. Christine has lost all rights to Charlotte. She has abused her for the last time. Sarah gets a snarky look on her face. You can't take our wolves. Only the goddess can. Christine was well on her way to having Declan claim her before you came along. You took him from her. With you gone, she would be queen. A better queen. You. A filthy half-breed, a filthy bastard half-breed. Yet, you expect us all to fall at your feet. Worship the ground you walk on. When I contacted your father with the information on patrols and routes onto Kingdom lands, he asked for your mother's phone number and I gladly gave that to him. He isn't happy with me now. I can't get into Aaron's computer for information. He is threatening to not make me his new Luna. So I told Christine she needed to step up the game. She's too stupid to not get caught though. She's on her own. And I started to laugh. Really laugh, oh my goddess. I am so sorry, Aaron. The years you had to spend with this psychotic succubus had to have been excruciating. She has done us an unbelievable and invaluable service. We now know Montgomery's plan. I summon Sierra forward. Sierra. Hello, sweetheart. I am so sorry for what you have endured. I can offer you a choice, baby girl. You can live out the remainder of Sarah's life trapped in her mind. Or I can free you to go home to our goddess. Where you will be reborn to a good soul. A kind soul. I will give you time to think about it. While I speak to Charlotte. Pulling Charlotte forward. Hello, pretty girl. I love your eyes. You heard what I offered, Sierra, yeah? I offer the same to you. You can be free again. Feeling the wind in your fur. Being happy. You think on it a minute or two. She started to cry and crawled to me and I sat on the floor to hold her. She whispered, I don't have to think. I want to be free and happy. I started to cry and reached for Declan's hand because anything of this magnitude has to be done together. I began to chant, repeating it louder and louder. Until I felt a light kiss on my cheeks and a whispered, don't cry for me. Then Christine fell to the floor. Screaming and yelling. Crying and begging. Then she fell silent a minute or two. She screeched, she's gone. You killed my wolf. You fucking bitch. And I said simply no. You did. I set her free. She reached to slap me and Declan snapped her neck. Well. Damn. He looked up and said, sorry, Aaron, to which Aaron replied, for what? Beating me to it? I turned to Sarah who stood gaping at her daughter. Sierra? Your choice? She looked at us. Eyes brimming with tears, she stood and walked to Aaron. I'm sorry, Dax, I always only ever wanted you. Turning to me she whispered, I want to go home. I need to be happy again. And I need to refresh my heart and soul. I want to be free. And I took her hand. Repeating the chant once Sierra was free. Sarah sat there blankly for a minute. Then she screamed, fuck you. Fuck you all. And Declan calmly said, you are banished. Now and forever. You have exactly 1 hour to gather whatever you plan on taking. And it will only be personal belonging. Then, good luck finding your alpha. Evan send 2 guards with her to watch her every move. I want to know when she has vacated the premises. Declan SPOV. Eleanor did a great job planning the welcome dinner for the council members. Everyone had settled in. And now we were all mingling and getting to know each other. Dad seems to be happy and everyone appeared to be grateful for the opportunity. Getting along. Victoria joined us from the infirmary, walking over to us. Declan. I need to order some supplies for and she stopped. Standing stock still looking around, then her eyes got round and she teared up. Looking back at me and Eleanor she stuttered, hi. I gotta go, and ran out the door. Eleanor hot on her heels. Aaron was pushing through the crowd and demanded, where is she? Where did she go? While I like to think of myself as a pretty smart man, I shamefully admit it took me a minute or two before it dawned on me. I told him she ran out. Eleanor is following. Come on. Let us find them. She is probably thinking you're going to reject her, too. Damn. This has been a fucking day and a half. We found the girls outside on the front veranda. Victoria was crying and Lynn was trying to talk her into talking to Aaron. They had both had a rough go of it. Maybe they are both due for some happiness. Aaron stepped forward and took Victoria's hand. He whispered, please. Don't give up on me. Don't throw us away. This isn't just about what my wolf wants. I want you. I have wanted you since the first day we met. I didn't know what this was. And yes. I thought it was wrong. I was mated. To a horrible bitch, yes. But still mated. And I felt awful for not being able to get you out of my head. Now, I know why. I pulled Eleanor with me. Away from them, they needed their space. Their moment. And damn. Reckon we're keeping it all in the family. But it's seriously starting to feel like some Jerry Springer shit. Walking back into the dining hall, Mom rushed over asking about Victoria and if she is okay. Eleanor was explaining what was going on. And my mother squealed, doing a little foot shuffle, clapping her hands. Like a teenage girl. And again, I feel like I walked into the Twilight Zone. I was speaking with Dad about Aaron. He had a huge grin on his face. Happy for his best friend. We see the two people we are talking about walk in with huge smiles and holding hands. Everyone could see how happy they are. Finally. And then alarms sounded throughout the castle and off the borders. Eleanor yelled, Moms, everyone to the bunkers who can't fight. Lock yourselves in. This is not a drill. Go now. Diane. Make sure all the pups are safe and locked in. And we all stripped, running for the borders the floodlights had lit up. Eleanor and I took lead with Evan and Blaze flanking us. Dad and Aaron stayed behind long enough to secure the council. Reaching the border, I paced back and forth. Demon growling deeply. Eleanor shifted back and threw on a t-shirt. Standing beside me, holding the scruff of my neck. I can smell you, Montgomery. Show yourself, coward. Show me what you got. Come on. Daddy dearest. I don't want this reunion to be for naught. And he walked out. Between two other alphas. She laughed. Oh look. It's the smarmy alpha Nicholas. The one who needed my true mate to help him find me. The chosen mate you were trying to betray Montgomery for. Does he know? No honor among thieves and all that rot? Sure hope why all filed your last will and testament. Montgomery took a couple steps closer. You really are the spawn of Satan. A complete waste of space. You will die this night. If it is the last thing I do, I will return the mantle to its rightful place. And she laughed even harder. Did you really just call yourself the devil? Fitting. Yet, I can't help but feel Satan would be insulted. Even he has more dignity. More class. Than you. Let us stop the chatter and begin the dance. They attacked. Running full bore at us, and she shifted back into Lacey. Side by side, we fought. Ripping throats out. Hearts out. Heads off. Lacey was fierce. And I could see she was fighting her way through the rebels to reach Montgomery. I stayed with her. Watching her six. Knowing she needed this. I let her go. We fought our way through our warriors, dropping the enemy before they ever reached the border. The fighting slowed and Eleanor and I stopped to assess the situation. I called through the link to each command, wanting them to sound off casualties. To our credit, we had none. To their debit, roughly estimating 400 enemy down, dead, or dying. Nicholas and Montgomery had disappeared. Running to ground, I would imagine. We shifted and I ordered the cleanup to begin. Bodies were being stacked on top of each other and Eleanor was setting fires. She looked at me. And muttered, he is even more of a coward than I realized. He is going to have to be taken out. Do we go to his pack now? He declared war. He came to ours. Is it our turn? I looked at her. Then I nodded. We leave at dawn. With 200 elites. We only kill the ones who attack. What's left of his pack are most likely not fighters. We packed for a couple days. Dad, Aaron and the moms are staying behind with Blaze and Diane. Eleanor and Victoria once again warded the kingdom and I ordered no one in or out. We are leaving over 1,000 warriors behind, just in case. I don't expect to be met with much resistance but, with the election for the governorships looming on the horizon, I want this shit done. I get it. I do. There will always be a small group of wolves believing they can do it better. But this one is the big one. And we have to quash it hard. Our intel has us in the air before daybreak. Montgomery arrived back at his pack around 2 this morning. What an idiot. But it plays to our benefit. Eleanor has decided to make an example of him and Nicholas. And she told me I'm not above using magic to do it. Which always makes me laugh. Because she is fond of her brute strength. Evan speaks up. Linny, you know you are the rightful alpha to this pack. Right. Have you given any thought to stripping Montgomery of his title? Disbanding the pack? She gives him a sad smile. I know. But I have a little brother. Even though I have never met him. And even though I have no doubt he is being taught to hate me. I don't want to take the pack away from him. I don't want to deprive him of what he believes is his birthright. You know? Does that make sense? He nods. While I pull her into my lap and whisper, you are amazing. Landing around 7. We deplaned and half went wolf. The other half rode on wolves. We thundered across the terrain. Stopping only for a quick sandwich and a bottle of water. We arrived at the Black River border before 9:30. The pack looked deserted. A lone wolf, scattered here and there. We walked straight down the center of the pack. Eerie. Reaching the pack house, Eleanor marched up the steps and kicked the door off its hinges. We walked in. To find 2 elderly men. 5 women. 2 toddlers and a small boy. Maybe a year old. Eleanor looked at the woman holding the year-old. Noticing the blue of the boy's eyes, she asked, You're the Luna? At her nod. Eleanor told her, Take your people. Get them to the safe room and lock yourselves in. Your mate dies this day. And every one of the women cried. Saying thank you. Giving Eleanor pause. She asked, Are all these children his? And they all nod. I watched my mate pinch the bridge of her nose. Shake her head. And tell them go. You will all be safe. Do not come out until we tell you, you can. Once everyone was locked in and safe. I bellowed, Get your asses out here, you man-war. Your time of reckoning is upon you. And there were thumps. Bumps and groans as men poured out of the upstairs. Seeing Montgomery at the very top, Eleanor bounced. Up and over the banister. Launching her body sideways and springing off the wall, her hands up she caught the top railing and swung up and over and landed directly in front of him. She punched him in the throat. And when he started down, she grabbed the back of his head, smashing his face with her knee. Then she heaved him up. Over the railing and threw him to the ground floor. Yelling, Catch! I don't want him dead yet. Evan came out of a bedroom beside her. Dragging an unconscious Nicholas. He yells, Look. A twofer. It's a good day, Tater. And threw him off the landing. Those two are a pair. And I love them both. Eleanor SPOV. Declan drugged Julian Montgomery and Alpha Nicholas to the center of the town square. I went to the safe house and asked the Luna to step outside. I asked her name. And could she tell me her story? She looked to be a year or 2 older than me. She teared up a bit and started speaking. My name is Abigail Taylor. My brother is Nicholas Taylor. I was given to Julian in an alliance deal. Almost 4 years ago. He made it and marked me. But even my wolf hates him. He is vicious. Cruel. I am made to watch him fuck any woman he wants. Anywhere he wants. Not only me. He sees no need for privacy. Just whips it out and sticks it in wherever he is and whoever he wants. When I got pregnant, I thought everything would be okay. But when Alexander was born, he kept screaming I was defective and I had done something wrong. I had delivered a defective son. There was no mantle and he blamed me. Then he blamed the baby. I started hiding. Staying out of his sight. I researched about the alpha mantle. I asked the elders. No one could understand what had happened. Somehow, Julian had lost the mantle and even he didn't know how. He started reaching out. He drove himself nearly insane. Trying to locate a witch named Victoria. Things were going downhill here. We had no income. Any money the pack had went to finding the witch. People started trying to escape. Some made it. Some were caught. He executed many pack members. The dungeons are full of the ones who failed to escape. Awaiting execution. Let me stop you right there. I have a phone call to make, then I will be right back. I walked away. Linking Declan baby. This is worse than we thought. There are people in the dungeon. Awaiting execution for trying to escape to find food. They're hungry. These people are desperate. And I am getting angry. I know Kuormia. We have emptied the dungeon. Evan and I have tied them both to posts in the center of town. We will wait for you. Thank you, my love. I want to be much longer. I am calling Caleb to ream him a new asshole. He has an obligation to this pack. He fucking grew up here. He wouldn't even be alpha if he hadn't married it. The phone rang and Uncle Caleb answered. I said, when is the last time you have even checked on your home pack, Uncle? There was a pause and then it's been a while. I helped you. Then I had an emergency in my own pack. I came up to warn you and help you. Again. Then Bonnie is pregnant. What's going on, Eleanor? I sighed. If you have even a remote interest. Your home pack is starving. Your brother has been executing everyone who has tried to escape. In search of food. He beats his mate. He rapes every woman. Delivering babies, forcing her to watch, makes her literally babysit his offspring. He attacked the kingdom last night. As of this moment, he is strung up in the middle of town. If you have anything you want to say to your brother, you have an hour before I rip his heart out. And I hung up the phone. I walked back to Abigail. She held Alexander on her hip. Trying to get him to take his pacifier. He didn't want to stop fussing. I asked if I could hold him. She didn't hesitate. Just handed him over. I laid him in the crook of my arm. Lightly swaying back and forth, holding his pacifier in his mouth, and he began to doze. Abigail broke down in tears. I said, have a seat. Rest yourself. I have a story to tell you. My mother's name is Victoria Dubois. She is Julian Montgomery's true mate. And she is a high-born witch. My name is Eleanor Montgomery. My father mated and rejected my mother in the same night. The alpha mantle fell to me as his firstborn child. You did nothing wrong. My little brother is not defective. Montgomery knew that. His shortcomings. His inability to control his wolf. That is his fault. No one else's. I am now Luna Queen Eleanor Sullivan. And I am going to execute your mate in just over 45 minutes. You. And all of your pack are welcome to observe. Or you may wait here. Until you feel the bond break. I want only good things for you and Alexander. The Crown will offer recompense to allow this pack to get back on its feet. We will provide a second-born alpha as beta to you. Until my brother is old enough to ascend. I will be checking on you both on the week. And you will have my personal phone number to reach me anytime. You need me and I will come running. You and Alex are my family. I would love nothing more than to be in your lives, if you'll allow it. If not, after we help you back on your feet, I will leave your lives forever. She threw herself into my arms and cried. I think we made some headway. The pack decided they want to watch the execution. And when we reached my mate, not only was Julian and Nicholas awake, Caleb was there. I walked over to him and hugged him. Anger or no? He is family and I love him. Stepping up to where Montgomery was hanging, I asked, do you have anything to say to the pack you have failed? He spit on me. I searched his wolf, finding him as corrupt as his host. We decided he would die, as well. Declan stepped up beside me and shook his head at me. The man is a deviant. He has hurt you. He crushed your mother. He cannot and will not survive. But his blood still runs through your veins. His execution lies in my hands. Not in the beautiful hands of my queen. And he beheaded Julian Montgomery to the cheers of what is left of Black River Pack. Evan reached up and snapped Nicholas' neck and said, see? A twofer. I turned and introduced the Alpha King. And they cheered again. Evan stepped away and made a few phone calls. When he came back, he told Declan what the calls were. Declan stepped up on top of the roof of a truck and spoke. Within the next several hours, there will be delivery trucks rolling into town. You will have food, toiletries, first aid supplies, diapers, formula, and clothing in various sizes. There will be everything you will need to sustain you and your loved ones for at least 2 weeks. We will be sending representatives in about 2 weeks. After the election. To see what you need here to get you through the winter. To make any repairs the structures need to maintain warmth. Your Luna, Abigail, hold your future alpha in her arms. We will personally see to his education and training to make him the best alpha this pack has ever seen. We cut the bodies down. And we burned them in the streets. These people had been persecuted. Living under a reign of tyranny for too long. Now they can be free. Abigail pulled me to the side and held on to me with all her might. She said, I owe you everything and I don't know how I will ever repay you. I smiled, you owe me nothing. But, if you feel the need, live free. And be happy. Raise your son to understand the importance of mate bonds. To hold true and stay the course. We headed home and I crawled into my mate's lap, promptly falling asleep. The rebellion was quelched. At least for now. Declan woke me up to deplane and I snuggled right back into him in the truck. Exhausted. Flat worn out. Then I heard Declan say, baby. Listen, do you hear it? Tell me you hear it. I listened. And he was right. I asked Lacey, Lace? Are we? Pup. Pup, pup, pup. Yes. We're having pups. Pups? I sit up and sputter. Lacey says pups. And Declan just grins from ear to ear. He wants an ultrasound as soon as we get home and he is bouncing in his seat like a kid. He is out of the truck, pulling me into his arms bridal style, running a mile a minute towards the infirmary, yelling, Moms, we need an ultrasound now. Sending the entire family into a tailspin, and before I know it, Mom, Dad, Evan, Blaze and Diane. Mom and new Dad are all standing in the room with us. Declan trying to yank my shirt off and pull my leggings down. All the while telling the moms to take pictures. I sit up. Grabbing his hands. Baby. Look at me, look at me. Let them get the equipment ready. Deep breaths. In and out. Do it with me. Once he calmed down, my mom was ready and I laid down. She moved the wand around. And then, back again. She grinned. It seems we are going to be grandparents. And left to get the pictures she was printing. The look on Declan's face had me laughing so hard, I was holding my sides, his sputtering she. We. They. We. Grandparents. We are more important. Parents. You, me. Our pups. The fuck. MOM. And everyone was laughing when my mom came back in. She grabbed Declan's hand. Told the dads to get close to him. She laughed and said, I knew you were a big boy. I knew you would give us grandpups one day. What I did not know was that day would be 7 months from now. Nor did I know you would give them to us all at once. She started handing us the ultrasound pictures. This one is baby A, here is baby B, this picture is babies C and D, and this last one is baby E. Congratulations, my loves. You are having a litter. And I fainted. It's been 6 months since the castle learned the heirs were expected. Eleanor looks like she swallowed a blimp. She is cranky. Her cravings were through the roof. And everyone knows. If the queen ain't happy. Ain't nobody happy. Victoria has had her on bed rest the last 2 weeks because the babies were heavy and she could no longer navigate the stairs. Her solution had been to levitate everywhere. Resulting in her scaring the living daylights out of nearly every member of her family. At least 10 times each. Victoria warned her not to get used to it. Because her body would get so used to it, she might find herself levitating at inopportune times. She discovered the truth to that when she woke up on a chaise lounge in the gazebo one morning. Victoria has moved her to a room downstairs temporarily now. And a makeshift bed was placed in the study, so she can still feel a part of things. They were playing video games in the study a couple weeks later and she had just killed Evan for the 18th time when she grabbed her stomach and said, I think it's time, causing Evan to panic and run from the room. And back inside. Then back out and down the hall. Up the stairs and back down again, screaming code red at the top of his lungs until Declan punched him in the nose. getting Eleanor to the infirmary. Everyone lined up, like an assembly line, each waiting to catch a pup to bring it to Audrey to clean, dress and bundle. Victoria called. Does everyone know their job? She watched the nods. She looked at Eleanor and said, this is going to be a clusterfuck. Audrey had the warmers going on the incutables. They don't know the genders. Declan wanted to be surprised. Like 5 pups aren't surprise enough. But okay. 4 hours. A lot of swearing. Threatening. Crying and promising. Victoria tells her she can push. Baby A was delivered 10 minutes later. Lively, loud little boy. Within minutes, Baby B made his appearance. Followed by Baby C, the first girl. Baby D being a boy. All loud. All healthy. And finally out pops Baby E. She was smaller. And it took several minutes for her to get wound up, but everyone decided she was the loudest. They were weighed and measured. Bathed and dressed, before they were all brought over to Declan and Eleanor. She whispered, they are so beautiful. How are the boys twice the size of their sisters? Good goddess. No wonder I couldn't walk. Declan laughs. Wait until everyone hears their names. Who do you think will catch on first? It was my turn to laugh and told him either my mom or his dad. When they arrived back to help us feed the litter, we told them the names and what they weighed and lengths. Baby 1, at 8 pounds 22 inches Aiden. Baby 2 at 7 pounds 15 ounces and 19 inches. Benjamin. Baby 3 at 6 pounds and 17 inches Cassandra. Baby 4 at 7 pounds 15 ounce Daniel, and Baby 5 at 5 pounds 11 ounces and 16 inches Emerson. Evan hollers, Emerson is mine. She is my lil button and her uncle Evan is going to spoil her silly. Declan says, shocking. Diane said, I will spoil them all. Just hand me one for now. And tell me which name. This is family. This is what it means. Eleanor smiled at them all and realized this is why she was born. Nathan jumped up and pointed at Declan and Eleanor. You smartass. The babies. In order of birth. Aiden, Benjamin, Cassandra, Daniel, Emerson. Babies A, B, C, D, E. Sheer genius. I love it. We all started laughing. Declan pulled me into his arms and whispered, you were right. I love you so much. She held him closer and whispered, I love you right back. But if, and it's a very big if, we ever get pregnant again and it's multiples, I will seriously chop off your dick. Time jump. Emerson. Amber Sullivan. Stop levitating your brother. Benjamin. David. Turn your sister back right now. Although she does make a cute bunny. Aiden. The bubbles are very pretty, baby. But they will make your cake taste funny. Diane walks in. Waddles in with Andrew on her hip. Laughing, who would have thought they would come into their magic right before their second birthday. Victoria comes in and pulls Benjamin from the air, settling him on his butt. Telling Emerson to stop being naughty. Cassandra hops over and poops on her grandmother's shoe. Turning to Benji. If I don't see your sister's beautiful face in 2 seconds, I am eating your cake. And poof. Cassie's back. She walks over to Eleanor and asks, have you told him yet? She shook her head. As Declan walks through the door. He walks over with Evan and takes Eleanor in his arms, kissing her, I love you. She smiles at him radiantly and says, I love you, my handsome man. Remember when we discussed another pregnancy? He nods. Remember what I told you? Again he nods, and she hands him an ultrasound picture. Yeah. We're having triplets. He looks at the picture. His eyes get huge. You. What? Wait, and he runs out the back door as fast as he can. Blaze asked, what the fuck? Eleanor looks out the back door. Watching him run, I told him. When the Quints were born. If we ever got pregnant again, it had better not be multiples. Or I'd cut his dick off. Everyone started roaring in laughter. Dad, Nathan asked, are you going after him? And Eleanor looked at him. Shocked, are you fucking crazy? I'm pregnant, and Blaze and Evan both hit the floor dying in laughter.